Chapter 5700. In front of Shui Jianfeng, Chen Dongcheng would never do something like betraying the center. Only by holding Shui Jianfeng's weakness would Chen Dongcheng reveal everything he knew to Lin Yi without hesitation. What are you looking at? Boss is asking you a question. Do you believe that I will kill you immediately if you don't tell me the truth? Languzhe glared and threatened loudly. He really wanted to kill these two fellows. As long as they were from the center, Languzhe didn't have a good impression of them. Chen Dongcheng hurriedly said, "Martial uncle, this disciple was only recruited by the center to be a hired thug. I don't know anything important. Shui Jianfeng should know more about this than this disciple. After all, he is the leader of all the cultivators who joined later." Lin Yi turned to look at Shui Jianfeng and said with a faint smile, "It seems that you are really awesome. You already have an important position in the center." Shui Jianfeng was filled with hatred. He knew that Chen Dongcheng didn't dare to betray the center, but pushed him out to be roasted. However, with Lin Yi staring at him, he didn't dare to make any strange movements. "Senior Lin, you must be joking. In fact, this junior is just an errand boy in the center. What position do I have?" Shui Jianfeng's mind was racing. He smiled and said, "We don't know anything about the Sacred Alliance. Today, we are here to pay a visit to Senior Lin. We don't mean to represent anyone. It seems that you really want to die." Lin Yi nodded seriously and raised his palm at Shui Jianfeng. Shui Jianfeng was shocked. He knew that his words couldn't win Lin Yi's trust. However, even he wouldn't believe what he said, let alone Lin Yi. Lin Yi probably heard everything that happened in the room from outside. Therefore, there was no need to ask Kang Xiaobo and the rest. "Senior Lin, I suddenly remembered that I've heard of the Holy Alliance before. I seem to have heard of it in the center by chance. It's said that after they retreated from the small Jianghu in the ancient times, they re-established a force in the secular world. Their main area of activity is in Europe, and they may develop to the Americas in the future. If that's the case, it seems like the two of us are really representing the Sacred Alliance this time. We're not even sure ourselves." Shui Jianfeng pretended to have a look of sudden realization. He seemed to have a natural talent for acting. If that's the case, you should have heard some rumors about why the center is targeting Miracle Dr. Guan's company, right? For example, what do you need Miracle Dr. Guan's formula for?" Lin Yi retracted his hand and asked casually. Shui Jianfeng wiped off the cold sweat on his forehead. He thought to himself that the information he gave out wasn't classified, so it shouldn't be a problem. Furthermore, compared to his own life, even if it was classified, it didn't seem like he couldn't reveal it. "Haha, Senior Lin, you think too highly of me. I really haven't heard about this before." Shui Jianfeng wasn't willing to reveal more information to Lin Yi easily, so he said while sneaking glances at Lin Yi's reaction. Seeing that Lin Yi was about to raise his hand again, he quickly continued, "But I do have some personal speculations. Senior Lin, why don't you listen to them and use them as a reference?" Languzhe glared at him again, "So much **T. If you don't make it quick, I'll beat you up." Shui Jianfeng thought to himself, "You're just a small fry who uses the tiger's might. What are you so proud of? You want to beat me up? If it wasn't for Lin Yi, I would have taken care of you long ago." This was also the reason why Languzhe didn't reveal his aura. If Shui Jianfeng knew Languzhe's true strength, he wouldn't have any thoughts of getting lucky. It's like this. Although I haven't heard why the center asked the Sacred Alliance to find trouble with Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group, and I don't know why they want the formula from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group. However, the center has always been researching different types of medicine. Senior Lin, you should know about this. So, I'm guessing that maybe the center is interested in something from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group. This might be related to the center's research on medicine. Senior Lin, you must be careful. What Shui Jianfeng said was actually the truth. He just changed his words so that he could have an excuse to deceive himself. Lin Yi frowned slightly. He didn't understand what the center was doing. Shui Jianfeng's words didn't sound fake. Could it be that the center was interested in one of the formulas from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group? But these formulas were only useful in the common world. Before entering Heaven Tier Island, these formulas were still valuable. After Heaven Tier Island was opened, there would be more high-level pills and formulas that were better than Miracle Dr. Guan's products in the common world. The center originally had a way to connect the two places, so they shouldn't be eyeing these things. Actually, Lin Yi was wrong. The pills and formulas from Heaven Tier Island were indeed better than those from Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group, but the problem was that it was built on higher difficulty and higher quality materials. In terms of the same level, Lin Yi's formulas were definitely the best in Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group. This time, what the center needed was to steadily improve from the foundation. It would be strange if they didn't look for Miracle Dr. Guan's medical group. Just as he was thinking about it, the hotel staff rushed over. Lin Yi's action of kicking the door had already triggered the alarm in the hotel. This floor was filled with the most distinguished guests, so the hotel staff didn't dare to neglect them. So, they came to deal with it immediately. Seeing that the people from the hotel were about to enter, Xue Jianfeng gave Chen Dongcheng a meaningful look and then took the lead to stand up and say, "Senior Lin, there is still a misunderstanding in today's matter. Let this junior and old Chen settle the matter at the hotel first, then we will come back to listen to senior's orders." Lin Yi didn't say anything and let Xue Jianfeng pull Chen Dongcheng out of the door. He passionately told the hotel staff that it was all a misunderstanding and that they would immediately compensate for the broken door. Then, he half-forcefully brought the staff downstairs to settle the matter. It was a miracle to be able to take this opportunity to escape. Xue Jianfeng wanted to hug the hotel staff and give them 2 kisses. This was the legendary timely rain. Languzhe watched Xue Jianfeng and Chen Dongcheng leave. His heart felt like it was being scratched by a cat. He couldn't help but ask, "Boss, why didn't you just get rid of those 2? The people from the center aren't good people." Chapter 5701. Kang Xiaobo clapped his hands and said, "I understand, boss, you want to cast a long line to catch a big fish. These 2 guys are the bait for fishing." "That's right, that's what I mean." Lin Yi did not hide it. Before leaving the secular world, it was best to deal with the central forces of the secular world. Even if he could not uproot them, he should at least cripple them so that they would not dare to come out and cause trouble in a short period of time. It was easy to kill Xue Jianfeng and Chen Dongcheng, but it was not easy to catch the tail of the central force. Now that the central force had exposed the tail of the Sacred Alliance, Lin Yi of course had to hold on tight. The reason why he released Xue Jianfeng and Chen Dongcheng was so that he could ask them something useful the next time he saw them. Lai Changyi suddenly said, "Boss, I think the guy who called you Martial Uncle Master seems to want to rely on Boss. If he can betray us and become a spy, we will have a greater chance to deal with the central force. If there is a chance, we can contact this guy in private." Lin Yi smiled and nodded to Lai Changyi, but did not say much. Lai Changyi immediately understood that Lin Yi had this plan for a long time, and there was no need for him to remind Lin Yi. Otherwise, Lin Yi should have directly caught Chen Dongcheng and interrogated him, instead of letting him go so easily and letting the 2 people leave together. In addition to casting a long line to catch a big fish, he also found an excuse to release Chen Dongcheng. Whether or not Chen Dongcheng would really be able to betray them in the future, there was no need to think too much about it now. After all, it was just a profound ascension early stage that had been forcefully raised. Languzhe alone could beat them up. If they really did not want face when given, then it would only be a matter of time before they were eliminated. On the second day, nothing happened. Xue Jianfeng and Xue Jianfeng seemed to have disappeared into thin air, never to be seen again. Lin Yi wasn't used to using his divine sense to lock onto people yet, so he was shaken off by them after some distance. After all, they were from the ancient Jianghu, so they should have some tricks up their sleeves in terms of divine sense. As for Chen Dongcheng following Xue Jianfeng to avoid Lin Yi's divine sense tracking, Lin Yi did not care too much. Chen Dongcheng was probably still hesitating, and Lin Yi did not give him a clear hint, so it was normal for Chen Dongcheng to do this. The medical exhibition finally opened smoothly. The people from the Sacred Alliance did not continue to provoke the Miracle Dr. Guan medical group. Instead, they set up their own stall. Of course, their stall was the biggest and the best location, much better than the Miracle Dr. Guan medical group's stall. What surprised Lin Yi was that he actually saw an old acquaintance here, the people from the Dr. Kang medical group. Although their relationship was not that good, they were still acquaintances. Although Kang Mingming was still on Heaven Tier Island, when he saw the people from the Kang family, Lin Yi would naturally think of Kang Mingming. Speaking of which, Kang Mingming and Xue Jianfeng were quite similar. These two were definitely the representatives of the undying cockroach family. No matter how they were photographed, they would still be able to survive. If these two could meet each other, there might be a scene where they would appreciate each other. This time, the representative of Dr. Kang was Kang Gui Feng, Kang Mingming's uncle. Their booth was next to the Sacred Alliance, and Kang Gui Feng was happily chatting with the people from the Sacred Alliance. Lin Yi suspected that the people from the Dr. Kang medical group were invited by the Sacred Alliance. Could it be that their goal was to disgust Lin Yi? Or, another possibility was that the center could not get the various formulas from the Miracle Dr. Guan medical group, so they wanted to get something similar from the Dr. Kang medical group? After all, the products of the two companies were very similar. Kang Gui Feng did not see Lin Yi's arrival. After chatting with the people from the Sacred Alliance for a while, he followed a person from the Sacred Alliance to the resting room at the back. Lin Yi didn't have much interest in small fries like Gui Feng, but he had been paying attention to the Sacred Alliance for a long time. In order to get to the core through the Sacred Alliance, he wouldn't let go of even the slightest clue. He extended his divine sense silently, wanting to monitor every movement of Kang Gui Feng and the Sacred Alliance. However, what surprised Lin Yi was that his divine sense was blocked outside the resting room. It was completely isolated. This resting room is strange. After the shock, Lin Yi felt a sense of joy. His divine sense could not enter, which meant that there was an unspeakable secret, such as the important person in the center. Otherwise, who in the common world would be able to stop Lin Yi's consciousness from prying? Xiaobo, you guys stay here. Jingyi and Languzha stay here to help too. I will go over there for a while. Lin Yi turned around and said, then he quickly walked towards the resting room. Since divine sense could not enter, then he would just let his spirit go in. If he could catch the core person in the center, then he could follow the clues to get rid of the power of the center in the mortal world. That would be great. At this time, in the resting room, Kang Gui Feng saw Xue Jianfeng alone. Chen Dongcheng did not come with Xue Jianfeng this time. He probably felt that Kang Gui Feng was not worthy to be dealt with by two masters of the profound ascension stage. You are Kang Gui Feng of Dr. Kang Medicine? I came to see you this time to ask you to take out the special edition formula of your Kang family's Golden Saw medicine, and then cooperate with the Sacred Alliance to develop new medical products. This condition is very generous. Are you very grateful for my generosity? Xue Jianfeng said to Kang Gui Feng indifferently. He was actually very unhappy about this task. Coming to the exhibition site, it was easy to be discovered by Lin Yi. Although Xue Jianfeng used a divine sense item that he brought from the small ancient world to block the detection of divine sense, he was still not at ease. Last night, he managed to escape from the clutches of Lin Yi. What if he was caught by Lin Yi again? Kang Gui Feng smiled, nodded and said, you must be young Master Xue, right? It is a supreme honor for our Kang family to cooperate with young Master Xue's Sacred Alliance. But the special edition formula of the Golden Saw medicine is an important secret that our Kang family relies on to survive. We can't just hand it over to the Sacred Alliance. I hope young Master Xue can understand. Xue Jianfeng said impatiently, it's just a broken formula, and you treat it as a treasure. If it wasn't for the fact that our Sacred Alliance has a use for it, who would want such a broken thing? Chapter 5702. In fact, Xue Jianfeng was not joking this time. He used to be a genius disciple of the Snow Sword School. What kind of healing elixir couldn't he get? The Gold Saw medicine wasn't even close to being a medicinal elixir. How could he care about it? If the center didn't need it, who would care about this Kang Gui Feng who reeked of money? Forget it, I won't talk nonsense with you. Take a look at this video yourself. Xue Jianfeng waved his hand impatiently and opened a video file on his computer. After coming to the secular world, these high-tech gadgets became the things that attracted Xue Jianfeng the most. There was a projector and a speaker in the lounge. Xue Jianfeng directly projected the video on the screen. The image flashed and a person appeared on the screen. Illumination. Kang Guifeng was surprised. He didn't expect to see the pride of the Kang family, Kang Mingming. I am Kang Mingming. I wonder who in the Kang family will see this video of mine. No matter who it is, listen carefully to what I say. This video was obviously pre-recorded and not directly connected. Therefore, Kang Guifeng didn't say anything. He just looked at Kang Mingming's proud expression and felt a little happy. The better Kang Mingming did, the more stable the Kang family's position would be. If the Sacred Alliance wanted the Kang family's formula, they could directly snatch it. However, the fact that they were willing to cooperate should be because of Kang Mingming. I now hold a very important position in the central organization on Heaven Stage Island. Therefore, if anyone from the Kang family in the secular world comes looking for the Kang family and asks for assistance, no matter what the request is, feel free to agree. If we cooperate with the Kang family, we will definitely not mistreat the Kang family. You must remember this. Kang Jiaoming said solemnly. Whether or not he was important in the center of Sky-Tier Island didn't matter, but having House Kang of the common world fully cooperate with the center was obviously beneficial to him. The center was giving Kang Mingming face by allowing him to get a video from the Heavenly Island. Otherwise, if they directly attacked the Kang family in the secular world, Kang Mingming probably wouldn't dare to object. The Kang family's formula was slightly worse than the Miracle Dr. Guan medical groups. They weren't the center's main target. They were just a spare tire. Otherwise, they wouldn't have waited for Kang Mingming's video and would have been forcefully taken by the center. In the video, Kang Mingming bragged about his current status. In summary, he said that he, Kang Mingming, could totally become the support of the Kang family in the center. Therefore, the Kang family didn't need to hesitate at all. If they fully supported the center, they would definitely be repaid tenfold or even 100-fold. Kang Guifeng was very excited after watching the video. After Xue Jianfeng turned off the video, he immediately shouted with a red face, "Young Master Xue, since this is what my Jiaoming wants, then there's nothing more to say. Whatever formula you want, as long as the Kang family has it, we will give it to the center to use." Xue Jianfeng's face looked much better. After all, he knew that Kang Mingming from the Kang family was on the Heavenly Island, so his attitude naturally became gentler. All right. We don't need too many formulas from the Kang family. We just need the special edition of the Golden Saw medicine. The contributions of the Kang family will be recorded. In the future, there will definitely be benefits for you, Xue Jianfeng said with a satisfied smile. After settling Kang Guifeng's formula, he could leave this place and return to the secret hideout as soon as possible. It would be too troublesome if he accidentally encountered Lin Yi. Thank you for your care, young Master Xue. Then I will go prepare the formula now. I will send it to you in a moment. If young Master Xue has nothing else to do, please rest here for a while. Kang Guifeng said respectfully with a bow. Although he didn't know whose position was higher between Kang Mingming and this young Master Xue, but Kang Ming was far away on the Heavenly Island. He felt that it was safer to be obedient and respectful to Xue Jianfeng. Xue Jianfeng was very satisfied with Kang Guifeng's attitude. He smiled and waved his hand. All right, you go and prepare the formula as soon as possible. My time is limited. I can't wait too long. Yes, yes, yes. Young Master Xue, don't worry. It won't take too long. As long as you contact the people in China and let them scan a copy of the formula from the safe, it will take no more than 10 minutes. Kang Guifeng nodded and said with a smile. Then he turned around and walked out, not daring to delay at all. After Xue Jianfeng waited for Kang Guifeng to go out, he picked up the red wine glass in front of him, gently swirled it a few times, took a small sip, and said with satisfaction, "It seems that today's task is quite easy. We can go back soon. Should I report to the glasses doctor first?" In fact, Xue Jianfeng didn't drink red wine before, but when he saw Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chengyi's calm drinking posture last night, he felt that it was very suitable for him to act cool and handsome, so he searched online. Today, he learned to drink it, and it really felt good. It was just that Shui Jianfeng didn't expect that when he was talking to himself, there was actually someone who could follow up. Then I will report first. Shui Jianfeng almost threw the wine glass in his hand. This voice, isn't it Lin Yi who made me on tenterhooks? It's obvious that I'm alone in the lounge. How can Lin Yi's voice appear here? Moreover, in this lounge, I have set up a device to isolate divine sense. No matter how powerful Lin Yi's divine sense is, it's impossible to discover me. Shui Jianfeng didn't have time to think too much. He turned around in horror, and it turned out to be Lin Yi. Moreover, he was less than 2 steps behind him with a calm smile on his face. No matter how he looked at it, he felt hateful. Haha, it turns out to be Senior Lin. What a coincidence. It's really a small world. Why don't you get up and have a drink? Shui Jianfeng squeezed out a fake smile, but he was already crying in his heart. I've long said that this damn mission is the easiest to meet Lin Yi. What I'm afraid of really happens. Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, aren't you going to report the situation to that doctor with glasses? Hurry up, just pretend that I don't exist. Do you want me to disappear first? Shui Jianfeng wanted to cry but had no tears. How would he dare to let Lin Yi disappear? Wasn't this looking for him to disappear? Speaking of which, if he could really disappear in front of Lin Yi, it didn't seem to be a bad thing. Senior Lin, you must be joking. I don't know when you came. Why didn't I see you come in? Shui Jianfeng said perfunctorily, but in his heart, he was thinking about how to get out. Should I kick the lounge door down and let the staff come over to help? To be continued. Chapter 5703. I've only been here for a short while, and I just happened to see Kang Mingming's video. If you don't want to report to the glasses professor, then report to me honestly. Lin Yi walked to Shui Jianfeng and sat down casually. As he spoke, Lin Yi extended a finger. There was a purplish-blue electric arc flickering at the tip of his finger, making a light crackling sound. Shui Jianfeng's face turned pale. He was already traumatized by Lin Yi's lightning. He couldn't stay calm facing such a blatant threat. After letting out 2 hollow laughs, Shui Jianfeng had already decided to be a wise man who knew his place. He straightened his body and said with a serious expression, Senior Lin, I originally wanted to come up here to look for you after settling the matter of the gate downstairs. However, after thinking about it, I felt that it would be more sincere to ask for some useful information and come here to apologize. Therefore, I specially came here today to inform you. Shui Jianfeng felt like he was a genius. With just 2 sentences, he managed to cover up what happened last night and today, so that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to hold on to these 2 points. Lin Yi looked at Shui Jianfeng with a smile that wasn't a smile. He nodded slightly. Let's hear it. It's like this. Last night, I didn't hear the reason why the center wanted the formula from Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group, so after I went back, I specially asked around about this. As expected, I found something. Actually, the center wants to research a new medicine to advance their experimental progress. Shui Jianfeng said while wondering if what he said was related to the core secrets of the center. Normal information wouldn't matter. Lin Yi looked at Shui Jianfeng coldly, and the electric arc on his fingertip became thicker. Then he said indifferently, don't talk about useless things, get to the point. Shui Jianfeng suddenly had an idea. He couldn't care about anything anymore. He quickly said, actually, the center has always been researching medicine to increase the strength of cultivators. In the ancient Jianghu, they have successfully increased the foundation establishment stage to the golden core stage, the original soul stage, and even the profound ascension stage. I'm the best example. But after returning to the secular world, firstly, the ingredients for concocting potions are hard to find, and secondly, it's even harder to find cultivators, so this research can't continue. Lin Yi nodded in his heart. What Shui Jianfeng said was the truth. The secular world couldn't be compared to the primordial era. Not to mention those precious materials, just the cultivators were hard to find. According to Lin Yi's estimation, the best medium to promote a cultivator would be a cultivator in the foundation establishment stage. It was a huge hurdle for a heaven stage great perfection to advance to the foundation establishment stage. It was not easy for an ordinary person to advance to the heaven stage great perfection, let alone the foundation establishment stage. Not to mention the huge price needed, it was almost impossible for an ordinary person to endure the pain of the foundation establishment stage. What Shui Jianfeng said next was more or less in line with Lin Yi's conjecture. It was precisely because of this that the center had no choice but to change the direction of their research. You said that the center wants the special edition formula of the gold saw medicine to research a new recovery medicine? And then? Lin Yi was quite satisfied with Shui Jianfeng's performance, but he still maintained a strong enough tone in his words. Shui Jianfeng didn't dare to be negligent. Since he had already said a lot, he didn't mind saying a little more. This new medicine originally had 2 uses. As I said just now, it's very difficult to advance from the heaven stage to the foundation establishment stage. Ordinary people won't be able to endure the pain at all. So this new recovery medicine is to let these people successfully endure the danger of the foundation establishment stage. Originally, advancing from nascent soul to profound ascension is also dangerous. If it's not someone with a strong will like me or an ambitious cultivator like old Chen, it's also very difficult to endure the pain of advancement. This new medicine is also effective in this situation. Although it's not very effective, it can at least increase the success rate by 10%. However, advancing from nascent soul to profound ascension requires sea beast genes, so it can't be carried out for the time being. This is the first use. The second use is to add the new recovery medicine to the biochemical humans we're researching, so that these biochemical humans can recover instantly when they're injured. Even if they can't recover instantly, they can at least recover on their own within a short period of time. To be honest, I feel that this is the main purpose. Shui Jianfeng was going all out. In order to survive, he didn't even care about helping Lin Yi with the analysis. After listening to Shui Jianfeng's words, Lin Yi couldn't help but be slightly moved. This center was indeed scary. Putting aside the fact that it could increase the cultivator's strength, the biochemical human project was also quite scary. Although the biochemical humans didn't seem to have a high level, the center could mass produce them. Lin Yi had interacted with the biochemical humans created by Zhenwen before. He knew how annoying these cheap things were. If the center created biochemical humans that could recover instantly, Lin Yi wouldn't be afraid, but the world would probably be in trouble. The ordinary people on the streets were the basic materials for the creation of biohumans. As long as they had some potions, they would be able to produce them endlessly. What was even more frightening was that if the center combined the 2 research projects into one and allowed the biohumans, who could heal themselves instantly and without pain, to become experimental subjects to increase their strength, they might end up with a powerful army of biohuman. Thinking of this possibility, even Lin Yi felt a chill. No matter what, this center had to be dealt with. Otherwise, there would be endless troubles in the future. Senior Lin, I've told you all the information I've gathered. Should I go back first and report to you if there's any news? Shui Jianfeng stole a glance at Lin Yi's expression and asked carefully. If Lin Yi could let him go this time, he would definitely run as far away as he could. He didn't want to see Lin Yi ever again. Lin Yi came back to his senses. Shui Jianfeng obviously didn't know how much of a shock his words had brought to Lin Yi. After thinking for a while, Lin Yi said faintly, "You stay here first. When Kang Gui Feng brings the formula here, send him away and continue waiting here. I have some things for you to do." After a slight pause, Lin Yi continued, "Don't think about escaping. My divine sense will be monitoring you at all times. Although there's a divine sense barrier here, you won't be able to hide once you leave this place. If I find out that you're trying to escape, you're dead." Chapter 5704. Shui Jianfeng, who felt like crying at his own stupidity, didn't realize that Lin Yi only wanted to investigate Kang Gui Feng because he saw him with the people from the Sacred Alliance. If he didn't have this item, Lin Yi's divine sense would still be able to detect Shui Jianfeng, and the result wouldn't be any different. Shui Jianfeng replied weakly. Then, he saw Lin Yi turn into a shadow and disappear from the room. Only then did he remember that Lin Yi was still a primordial spirit. No wonder he could appear behind him without a sound. When Lin Yi left the room, Kang Gui Feng ran over excitedly with his phone in his hand. Lin Yi had an idea and knocked Kang Gui Feng unconscious. Then, He picked up his phone and looked at it. Haha, I'm lucky. Lin Yi saw that Kang Guifeng's unlocked phone was the hardcover version of Dr. Kang's Golden Saw medicine, and he immediately laughed. He was still thinking about how to change this formula, but it was so easy to get his hands on it. Kang Guifeng received a document that could be changed. It wasn't a scanned document or a text message. Those weren't easy to change. Only a document with this format wouldn't leave any traces even if it was changed. Of course, Lin Yi wouldn't waste such an opportunity. He quickly changed the key ingredients in the formula. This formula wasn't as good as the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's original formula. Now that he changed it, the value of the ingredients was raised by a notch, but the effect was reduced by more than half. When the people in the center verified the problem, Lin Yi would probably be able to find their nest. He put the phone back in Kang Guifeng's hand, woke him up, and left silently. Kang Guifeng woke up in a daze. He didn't know what happened to him. Was it because he was too tired? Lin Yi noticed that all the booths were bustling with activity by the time he got back to the exhibition. There were pretty boys and girls on each of the booths, attracting attention and attention. Judging from the cheers from the crowd, many of them were famous celebrities. However, Lin Yi didn't know any of these Western celebrities, so he didn't pay attention to them after a glance. Unlike the other booths, the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's booth was empty. Although Sun Jingyi was a top-grade beauty, and Languzha was also handsome, they weren't famous. At most, they would attract some attention before being snatched away by other celebrities. Boss, we miscalculated. We forgot to invite a celebrity to help us. Seeing that Lin Yi had returned, Kang Xiaobo lowered his head in shame. Lai Changyi smiled bitterly and said, even if we contact them now, it's basically impossible to find a famous celebrity. After all, they have their own schedule. The two of them were indeed a little careless this time. Due to the matter of the Sacred Alliance, they had focused all their attention on the Sacred Alliance. Instead, they had neglected the means to attract people at the exhibition. The exhibition had just started, but the booths with celebrities had already attracted the attention of the crowd. As time went by, the situation would only worsen. It was human nature to like liveliness. The more crowded a place was, the more people there would be. The quieter a place was, the less people there would be. Lin Yi smiled and said nonchalantly, "It doesn't matter. Our products are good anyway. It doesn't matter if there's a celebrity or not. Didn't you guys say that these things were smuggled to Europe to be sold? This means that the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's products have a good reputation." Kang Mingming laughed and said, "Boss, you're right. Good wine needs no bush. We don't need a celebrity. As long as we bring out our own products, it'll be enough to attract attention." Lin Yi suddenly smiled mysteriously and said, "Actually, it's not impossible for you to invite a celebrity. There's an international superstar that came to your door. Whether you can invite her or not depends on your own method." Kang Mingming was stunned and said, "International superstar? Who? Where is she?" Lai Changyi also turned his fat neck and looked around. "Yeah, I don't see her either. Boss, where is this superstar that you mentioned?" Lin Yi smiled and didn't say anything. He turned around and walked towards the door. Just then, a woman in casual clothes came in. She had a baseball cap on her head and a pair of wide-rimmed sunglasses that covered half of her face. Her ponytail swayed gently behind her. Seeing Lin Yi walking over, she suddenly revealed a big smile. "Brother Lin, how did you know that I'm here?" Seeing Lin Yi greet her with a smile, the woman in the baseball cap quickened her pace and rushed into Lin Yi's arms. She hugged him tightly. Then, she felt a little embarrassed to do so in front of so many people, so she immediately broke free. In fact, she was thinking too much. Other than Kang Xiaobo, Sun Jingyi, and the others, no one paid attention to the situation here at all. Moreover, this was Europe, and hugging and kissing were very normal etiquette. No one would look at them differently. Lin Yi reached out and took off the big sunglasses on her face and said with a smile, "I can feel that you're here. Why are you wearing sunglasses in the middle of the night? Don't you think it's a little too obvious?" After taking off the sunglasses, a delicate smile appeared under the baseball cap. She wrinkled her delicate nose at Lin Yi, then poked her head out from Lin Yi's side and waved to Sun Jingyi and the others, Sister Jingyi, Xiaobo, and Fatty Lai. "Hello everyone." Sun Jingyi, who followed them, showed a surprised smile. She took 2 steps forward and grabbed her hand. "Shahan, why are you here? Didn't you say that you're a guest for Chengyi?" "I'm a guest. I heard that you guys were here, so I rushed over before the concert ended," Shu Shahan said with a smile. Knowing that Lin Yi was here, even if it was her own concert, she would still rush over, not to mention being a guest for Chengyi. But this way, Chengyi would inevitably complain, but she couldn't care less. In fact, Chengyi also wanted to come. She was quite disappointed that Lin Yi couldn't come to her first concert. If it was possible, she really wanted to come with Shu Shahan. Unfortunately, this concert wasn't over yet. Even if it was over, they had to rush to the next city to prepare. She really didn't have as much free time as Shu Shahan. Chapter 5705. If they really asked Shu Shahan to hold the fort, then today's exhibition would explode. One had to know that Shu Shahan's popularity in Europe was no less than in China. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that she was an international superstar. The number of superstars in the world that could compete with Shu Shahan was definitely less than a handful. In the music industry, she had the momentum of being the world's number one. Lai Changyi came up and complained, "I say, Superstar Shu, you always call others brother and sister, how come it's Fatty Lai when it comes to me? Isn't this too much discrimination?" Shu Shahan pretended to be shocked. "Ah? Isn't your name Fatty Lai? Who would call themselves Fatty Lai? It's Lai Changyi." Lai Changyi. Lai Changyi looked like he was going crazy and said in a funny way. Everyone laughed. The friendship between old friends could be clearly shown in a few sentences. Lin Yi was also very happy. Shu Shahan used to look like a fairy that didn't eat the food of the world, but now she knew how to joke around with Lai Changyi. This was a huge improvement. It was a pity that Yao Yao and Shu, the 2 best friends of Shu Shahan, couldn't laugh together. It was a pity that Lin Yi felt a little regretful. "Brother Lin, Yi said that you promised to go to her concert, but you didn't go. She's very unhappy. She wants you to go to Lan Mi's concert, or else she'll teach you a lesson." Shu Shahan turned around and smiled at Lin Yi. It seemed like she wanted to see how Chengyi would teach Lin Yi a lesson. Lin Yi could only smile. "I can only try my best. If things go smoothly here, then I'll go with you to Lan Mi." Shu Shahan was in a good mood. This was what she wanted to hear. It was a rare opportunity to go with Lin Yi. Kang Xiaobo saw that Shu Shahan was smiling like a flower, and she was in a good mood. He immediately seized the opportunity and said, "Sister-in-law Shahan, look, we forgot to find a star to hold the line at the exhibition today. It just so happens that you're here. Why don't you save the show by the way?" Shahan blushed and stuttered. What sister-in-law? Kang Xiaobo, what are you talking about?" Although she had already confessed to Lin Yi, and their relationship was more or less clear, but being called sister-in-law by Kang Xiaobo like this, Shu Shahan still felt happy and embarrassed. "I, Kang Xiaobo, am never a person who talks nonsense. Alright, let's hurry up and get ready to go on stage. You see, it's like putting out a fire. There's no time to waste." Kang Xiaobo smiled and gave Lai Changyi a look. Boss Lin Yi said that whether or not they could invite Shu Shahan would depend on their methods. Now that they were about to succeed, they hoped that there wouldn't be any accidents. Lai Changyi also understood. Taking advantage of Shahan's shyness and uneasiness, he wanted to beat the drum and settle this matter. Sun Jingyi also covered her mouth and giggled. She didn't seem to have any intention of standing up for Shahan. Lin Yi could only smile helplessly. "Alright, you two want to invite Shahan on stage. No matter what, you should at least contact her manager, right? Only after negotiating the appearance fee can we continue the process. Brother Lin, you're also making fun of me with them." Shahan stomped her feet slightly and said to Lin Yi. Lai Changyi laughed and said, that's right. Boss, what you said is wrong. As a follower, I can't side with you. We and Shahan in law aren't outsiders. Why do we need to find a manager and talk about appearance fee? Boss, am I right?" Shahan's face became redder and redder. She glared at Lai Changyi and said, "Fatty Lai, you talk too much. Do you still want me to go on stage?" Hurry up and go. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi were overjoyed. They looked at each other and split up like a lackey, leading Shahan to the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's booth. Lin Yi also smiled and shook his head. He knew that they were just joking. He didn't mind and brought Sun Jingyi and Languja over there. After Shahan went on stage, she threw her baseball cap to Lai Changyi. She loosened her ponytail and let her hair down. In an instant, her body seemed to be emitting 1,000 rays of light. As expected of an international superstar, her aura wasn't something ordinary people could compare with. Picking up the microphone that Kang Xiaobo handed over, Shahan didn't say anything. She directly started singing. Ethereal, extremely penetrating voice spread to every corner of the venue. It instantly suppressed all other sounds. In just a breath's time, all other sounds disappeared. Only Shahan's voice was echoing in the venue. There was no need for any words. Shahan's voice was better than thousands of words. After a short moment of silence, people everywhere started screaming, "Shahan! Shahan is singing! Ah, Shahan! Shahan is here! Where? Where is Shahan? There! Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's booth. It's really Shahan." Reality proved that chasing stars was the same whether it was in China or abroad. When a superstar like Xu Shahan appeared, the seats in front of those stars instantly became empty and desolate. It was a miserable scene. Almost everyone who came to the exhibition ran to this booth at the same time. They were afraid that if they were a bit slower, they would lose a better position to get closer to the booth. Lin Yi was also stunned. He knew that Shahan was a superstar, but he didn't expect her popularity to be this terrifying. This was only in Europe. If it was in China, it would be even more terrifying. Luckily, Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi had some mental preparation. They had already pulled Languja along to protect the booth so that the fans wouldn't rush to the stage and disturb Shahan. Shahan smiled and waved to the fans below the stage. She was still holding the microphone and singing. That kind of fairy-like voice made people feel a sense of joy that cleansed their souls. The people below the stage automatically kept quiet. Those who managed to get a position started waving their hands back and forth, slowly dancing to Shahan's rhythm. Shahan's sister's popularity is really terrifying. Whatever she endorses, there's nothing that isn't popular. Sun Jingyi stood beside Lin Yi and said with a smile. Lin Yi also smiled when he heard that. If that's the case, it seems like Shahan is the spokesperson of Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group. It's perfectly justifiable for her to save the scene today. Chapter 5706. Of course, most of it was because of Lin Yi. Talking about this topic today reminded Lin Yi of many things that happened back then, and he couldn't help but sigh. Recently, Lin Yi found himself thinking about the past more and more. Perhaps it was because Yaro and Xu were still unconscious, and he was under a lot of pressure. If it wasn't for the Central, Lin Yi would have gone back to Sky-class Island and found his cheap master, Zhong Liju, and asked him to save Yaro and the others. Unfortunately, if the Central didn't get rid of them, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to go back in peace. If the Central did something, it'd be too late for regret. While he was lost in thought, Xu Shahan finished her song and smiled at the crowd. "Hello everyone, I'm Xu Shahan. Xu Shahan. Xu Shahan. Xu Shahan." The crowd burst into cheers. There was no need for any instructions or rehearsals, they just appeared naturally. One could see the influence of a superstar. Before Xu Shahan could continue, the crowd was forcefully separated in the middle. 6 European men in black suits surrounded a Caucasian young man, like a small boat cutting through the waves, forcibly creating a path. The people who were pushed away couldn't help but start cursing. Those who opened their mouths were secretly attacked by the 6 men in black suits, and they all fell to the ground, unable to speak anymore. For a moment, no one dared to go up and argue, and they could only stare at these people angrily. The white man who was surrounded by 6 men in black looked at Xu Shahan with an intoxicated expression. He came to the front of the stage and said loudly, "Beautiful Miss Xu, I am Igridopovich, one of the ancient nobles of Europe. You're the goddess of my dreams, and it's my honor to be able to see you today. I wonder if Miss Xu has time? I'd like to invite you for a cup of coffee." As he spoke, Igridopovich bowed slightly, and assumed the air of a gentleman. Shu Shahan smiled faintly. I'm sorry, Mr. Igridopovich, I don't have time, so I can only reject your invitation. Lin Yi was right here, and Shu Shahan wouldn't even care about anything important, let alone drinking coffee with this ancient noble. Igor Rodopovich's face changed. He was a person with a high status in Europe. As long as he was interested in a celebrity, no one would dare to reject his invitation. But this Shu Shahan rejected him without hesitation. This made him feel embarrassed. It must be that Shu Shahan didn't know who she was talking to. It must be, such a beautiful woman should be given another chance. Igridopovich thought, then he smiled and said, Miss Shu, perhaps you don't know my identity. My family is a famous and ancient aristocratic family in Europe. Even today, it is still one of the driving forces of Europe's economy. As long as I want, anyone can quickly become famous in Europe. Don't you want to consider my proposal? Maybe we can go to the hotel I'm staying at and have a good chat. We'll get to know each other better. Lin Yi's face turned cold. Was this Puvik guy stupid? How could he say something like this to Shu Shahan in front of him? Was he tired of living? But Lin Yi didn't need to say anything. Shu Shahan's fans couldn't take it anymore. No matter how strong this Igridopovich was, humiliating their goddess in front of them was unacceptable. Many people pointed at him and started cursing. Unfortunately, the 6 men in black were far stronger than normal people. They were almost equivalent to early-phase golden-class physical practitioners. The normal people who spoke up were quickly beaten to the ground. Stop. What are you doing? Please leave this place, I don't welcome you. Shu Shahan, who was always calm, couldn't hold back her anger. These were her fans. No matter what, she couldn't tolerate someone hitting her fans in front of her. Igridopovich laughed coldly. Miss Shu, where do you think this is? This is Europe. You're just a celebrity. Do you think you're a noble princess? Be a good girl and come with me. We'll have a good chat in the room tonight. I guarantee that your reputation in Europe will rise, or else. Me. With a flash, Lin Yi appeared in front of Igridopovich like a ghost, raising his hand and slapping the idiot across the face. The sound of the slap was crisp, and the idiot was sent flying. Just like Fan Jian, all his teeth were scattered in the air as he fell to the ground with Fan Jian. I told you to leave, so leave. What's the point of talking so much? Who do you think you are? Don't you know how popular Shu Shahan is? You're just a small family in Europe. How dare you talk big? Lin Yi said mockingly as he looked coldly at Igridopovich, whose face was half swollen and the corner of his mouth was bleeding. If it weren't for the fact that he was just a normal person, Lin Yi would have killed him already. After Lin Yi finished speaking, the 6 bodyguards reacted and roared. One of them went to support Igridopovich while the other 5 pounced on Lin Yi at the same time. Without Lin Yi doing anything, Languja shouted excitedly. Boss, I'll do it. It wasn't easy for him to get a chance to fight. Languja didn't want to miss it. A whirlwind swept past and the 5 bodyguards in black were all grabbed by the collars of their shirts by Languja. They were unable to move at all. To Languja, this kind of thing was like a walk in the park. It was easy and enjoyable. Languja turned around and asked, Boss, how should I deal with them? Kill them. Lin Yi said casually, don't kill them. The rest is up to you. Languja nodded and excitedly brought the 5 bodyguards to the side. He began to think about how to deal with them. These weaklings could only be used to train his control. Boss said, as long as they don't die, it's fine. After that, Lin Yi heard the sounds of bones breaking. Languza was indeed using these people to practice his control of his strength. It was a pity that his control didn't seem to be very good. Fortunately, he knew to cover the mouths of these 5 fellows first, so they didn't let out any cries of agony. Lin Yi was stunned. Chapter 5707. The commotion quickly alerted the organizer. 4 men in security uniforms quickly ran over and shouted at Languja, Stop. What are you doing? This is murder. Languja, stop for a second. Lin Yi ordered indifferently. Languja agreed quickly and threw the 5 guys back in front of Lin Yi. When Igridopovich saw the miserable state of his 5 men, he immediately trembled all over. The bodyguard who went to help him was also secretly afraid. He thought to himself, fortunately, I didn't go over, otherwise, I would also be in such a miserable state. The 4 security guards ran over and saw the limbs of the 5 men on the ground. They were completely broken. Their faces turned pale and they pulled out their guns to point at Lin Yi and the others. Lin Yi smiled and didn't care about the guns at all. He said calmly, these 5 friends said that they wanted to cooperate and display the effects of our Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's products. Of course, we have to fulfill their wish. Please take a closer look. After saying that, Lin Yi took out 5 third-rank Great Huan pills and signaled Languja to give them to the 5 unlucky bastards. These third-rank Great Huan pills were useless to cultivators, especially those who were above the foundation establishment stage. However, to ordinary people, it was no different from an immortal pill. After a few minutes, the 5 men's arms started to heal miraculously. Everyone was shocked. Your booth has violated the rules of this conference. We have to disqualify you. Now, we are going to kick you out completely. It's best if you can cooperate. Although the 4 security guards felt that this miracle was unbelievable, it didn't change their minds. One of them announced their decision to Lin Yi coldly. Disqualify me. Get kicked out on the spot. Lin Yi frowned. He didn't expect this result. Igor Rodopovich laughed loudly. He said in a muffled voice, hurry up and beg me. I can give you a chance. After being slapped by Lin Yi, Igor Rodopovich didn't dare to be too arrogant. Although he was still a little angry, he didn't dare to approach Lin Yi and talk to him anymore. Lin Yi couldn't be bothered with this idiot. He sent a telepathic message to Xue Jianfeng, get your people from the Sacred Alliance to settle this. If you can't settle this in 3 minutes, I will deal with you. Since the Sacred Alliance was so powerful that they could influence the organizer of this conference, Lin Yi naturally had to order Xue Jianfeng around. It was like making use of trash. Xue Jianfeng, who was treated as trash, was shocked when he heard Lin Yi's voice. However, it wasn't strange anymore since it happened to Lin Yi. Although he didn't know what Lin Yi was doing, Xue Jianfeng wasn't willing to help Lin Yi. However, Xue Jianfeng's life was in Lin Yi's hands. No matter how unwilling he was, he had to do things for Lin Yi. Xue Jianfeng thought that he might be able to use this chance to escape. He kept the item that exposed him and left the house. There wasn't anyone outside. Xue Jianfeng searched through 2 rooms before he found someone from the Sacred Alliance. He ordered him to go to the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's display cabinet to make sure that there wasn't any damage. The person from the Sacred Alliance didn't understand. The Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group was their enemy. Why would he help them solve their problem? If their problem was big enough, wouldn't it be the Sacred Alliance's chance? However, Xue Jianfeng was sent by the Sacred Alliance. His background was shocking. So, this person didn't dare to ask too much. Who knew what the higher-ups were thinking? He was just a small character. He should just listen to orders. After respectfully agreeing to Xue Jianfeng's request, this person from the Sacred Alliance ran to the front. At the same time, he used his phone to contact the organizer of this conference. Xue Jianfeng thought that since Lin Yi couldn't leave now, it was a good opportunity for him to escape. Since he had already gotten the special edition of Dr. Kang's golden creation, he directly forwarded it to the glasses doctor. There was no point in staying. Good job. Go back to the resting room and wait. I'll look for you later. Xue Jianfeng was just about to sneak out when Lin Yi's telepathic voice rang in his ears. Xue Jianfeng didn't dare have any more thoughts, and could only obediently go back to where he was and drink his wine. At Miracle Dr. Guan's booth, the people from the Sacred Alliance didn't appear directly. They were watching the situation from afar. They already told the organizer of the conference not to cause trouble for the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group. Now, the 4 security guards immediately received an order from the higher-ups to apologize to the other party. They couldn't cause any dissatisfaction. The 4 people were stunned. Luckily, the order was transmitted through the earphones. If it was transmitted through the walkie-talkie, these 4 people wouldn't be able to live anymore. They would be humiliated to death. Ha 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 ha, I was just joking. Looks like you guys haven't gotten used to our sense of humor yet. That's a pity. My friends from afar, I apologize for our joke just now. I hope you guys won't be unhappy. The face of the security guard who wanted to expel the miracle Dr. Guan medicine group changed. He suddenly laughed loudly and put away his gun at the same time. The other three weren't idiots. They just received the order and saw that the leader found an excuse, so they laughed and said that it was just a joke. As for the gun, they naturally put it away. Everyone, please look over here. The products of the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group are definitely the best in the world. Our organizing committee spent a lot of effort to invite them here. The effect of the medicine is enough to prove it. My friends who need it, please seize this opportunity. The security guard turned around and immediately advertised the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group. It was as if the tension just now was really just a joke. Lin Yi smiled coldly at their performance. He didn't say anything. It seemed like the Sacred Alliance had a lot of influence here. Just a phone call was enough to make these security guards slap themselves in the face and still have to smile. Kang Xiaobo and the others felt strange. But since Lin Yi didn't say anything, they wouldn't say anything. Although they didn't understand the details, it wasn't a bad thing. They just let these security guards perform. Chapter 5708. If it was possible, Igor Rodopovich would have killed them and told them that it was just a joke. Can't they have a sense of humor? The four security guards were cheering for the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group for a while, but when they saw Lin Yi and the others staring at them coldly, they couldn't help but smile awkwardly and turn to Igor Rodopovich. After all, he wasn't someone they could offend. Young Master Igor Rodopovich, this isn't something we can decide. Let's leave this place first. These Easterners have a powerful background. Can you go back and discuss this with someone else? The head of security bowed and apologized to Lin Yi before walking over to Igor Rodopovich's side and begging softly. If Igor Rodopovich didn't want to give up, they would be the ones in a difficult situation. However, after seeing how powerful these Easterners were, he didn't think that Igor Rodopovich would be stupid enough to fight them head-on. These young masters were good at stabbing people in the dark. If they could handle it head-on, they could do it. If they couldn't, they would choose to attack from the back. Igor Rodopovich glared at Lin Yi furiously. Half of his face was still swollen, and all his teeth had fallen out. It was a huge impact on his handsome image. There would be reporters paying attention to the exhibition, and if it weren't for the fact that it was only the beginning and the reporters weren't in position yet, he'd probably be on the headlines tomorrow with this face. Kid, Igor Rodopovich, will remember you. As long as you're still in Europe, you'll fall into my hands one day. Be careful. Let's go. Igor Rodopovich fiercely left with his bodyguards after uttering a few harsh words. Igor Rodopovich was actually shocked by the Da Huan pill that Lin Yi took out. Broken bones healed in such a short time, and he could barely walk. It was a miracle medicine. If it was possible, he wanted to find a way to collect some. It could save his life in a critical moment. What he didn't know was that although Lin Yi didn't care about the Great Recovery Pill, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company really didn't sell it. Boss, are we going to let them go just like that? These idiots actually dare to threaten boss. How about I follow them and kill them? Languja wasn't having fun, so he came over and asked in a low voice. Lin Yi waved his hand and said, "Forget it, they are all ordinary people. You really have time. Let them go. What can a few ants do?" If it was someone who posed a threat, Lin Yi would, of course, eliminate the danger first. But this Puvik guy, no matter how much he jumped around, he wouldn't be able to affect Lin Yi. Forget about Lin Yi, even if it was Xu Shahan, they wouldn't be a threat. After all, Xu Shahan was a top-notch master in the common world. A normal army might not even be her opponent. These small fries, what was there to worry about? Languja smacked his lips and thought to himself, trash is still meat. Unfortunately, boss won't allow it, so I can only let them off this time. After Igor Puvik left, Xu Shahan sang another song and regained her popularity. She also comforted the fans who were beaten up and left the stage. The voluntary help ended there. Next, it was Kang Xiaobo and Lai Chengyi's business. Xu Shahan wanted to spend more time with Lin Yi. Plus, Sun Jingyi wasn't a stranger to her, so they started chatting behind the stage. Although Shu Shahan didn't go on stage anymore, she was enough to attract more and more fans. The Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's booth was almost packed. Luckily, Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi were masters, so they didn't let people rush in. But it couldn't go on like this, because no one cared about the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's things. Everyone only had Shu Shahan in their eyes. It seems like it's not a good thing to be too popular, Lin Yi smiled and said to Shu Shahan. In his heart, he already wanted to leave with them. After all, there were so many people around, it was hard to talk properly. Sun Jingyi seemed to know Lin Yi's thoughts and suggested, "Why don't we leave here first? Anyway, Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi are here. The exhibition shouldn't be a problem. Sister Shahan staying here will affect the normal operation of the booth." Shu Shahan stuck out her tongue cutely and smiled, "Then I'll leave. Brother Lin, where are we going to eat?" Languja's eyes lit up before Lin Yi could say anything. There was no way he could stop the keyword eat from entering his ears. "Boss, let's go eat. There's nothing fun here. It's better to eat." If they could fight here, Languja could barely stay for a while longer. But Lin Yi didn't let him fight, so his only fun was to eat. Of course, after eating, his only fun would be to buy clothes. Since the Sacred Alliance wouldn't come looking for trouble, Lin Yi didn't need to stay here anymore. He turned to Languja and said, "Bring them to find a place to eat. I still have something to do. I'll come back later. Protect them." Languja's face was full of smiles. He patted his chest and promised, "Don't worry, boss. I'll protect them well. The place to eat will definitely satisfy you. If it's not good, come find me." Lin Yi couldn't help but laugh. "If it's not good, then find you to eat it all? That's to your liking." Sun Jingyi and Shu Shahan didn't have any objections. Lin Yi had things to do. They wouldn't stop Lin Yi from leaving. So after saying goodbye to Kang Xiaobo and Shu Shahan, they left the booth. Lin Yi casually set up a divine sense barrier. With his current divine sense, it wasn't hard to hide from cultivators of the same level or higher, let alone ordinary people. It didn't attract the attention of the fans at all. After Shu Shahan walked out of the door, the fans didn't even realize that their goddess had already left. It was even easier for Lin Yi to leave. In a flash, he was already out of the fans' encirclement. He was going to talk to Xue Jianfeng again. He wanted to see if he could get more information from him. Most importantly, he wanted to know the core members and the location of the base. Chapter 5709. Yo, if it isn't Lin Yi. I didn't expect to see you here. What's wrong? You couldn't survive in that place anymore, so you came back here? A dark male voice sounded beside Lin Yi. Lin Yi paused and turned around. It was Kang Guifeng's son, Kang Jiaolong. This guy used to call himself Xinyan's fiancé and had a lot of dealings with Lin Yi. He was far more talented than his cousin, Kang Mingming, but in the end, that idiot Kang Mingming was doing much better than Jiaolong. Lin Yi didn't bother greeting this old acquaintance. He only looked at him coldly and turned around. "Scram, I don't have time for you." Jiaolong laughed and pinched the light purple tie around his neck. He looked at Lin Yi with disdain. "Did I hit a sore spot? Are you angry now? We're all friends here, what's there to be embarrassed about?" Lin Yi couldn't be bothered with this idiot who thought so highly of himself. If it was Kang Mingming here, he wouldn't mind teaching him a lesson. Jiaolong. To put it bluntly, he didn't even have the right to be taught a lesson by Lin Yi. "Hey, Lin Yi, even if my Jiaoming kicked you out of that place, you don't have to run away from me, do you? You should at least talk to me, we're old acquaintances after all." Jiaolong saw that Lin Yi didn't say anything and got even more smug. He shook his suit and quickened his steps. Lin Yi frowned and stopped. He didn't want to bother with a small fry like Jiaolong, but it would be quite annoying if Jiaolong kept following him like a fly. "Jiaolong, do you want to die?" Lin Yi said coldly to Jiaolong, the impatience in his voice clear. Jiaolong paused and laughed. "Are you trying to scare me, Lin Yi? I've heard from my Jiaoming that you're living a pitiful life in that place. You're just a small fry at the bottom of society, running away the moment you see our Jiaoming. If it weren't for Jiaoming's kindness, he'd have killed you long ago. What? You can't live there anymore, So you came back here to act cool? That's right, I'm not your match, but if you dare touch me, my Jiaoming won't let you off. Lin Yi almost laughed out of anger. After all this time, it turned out that this idiot Kang Jiaolong was just bragging to his family, making Jiaolong think that Lin Yi had really escaped from Sky-class Island, so he wasn't afraid of Lin Yi at all. He used to think that Jiaolong was a cunning person, but now he realized that someone who could trust Jiaoming had to have a pretty high IQ as well. Let Kang Ming come to me for revenge. Lin Yi didn't want to waste any more time with Jiaolong. He slapped Jiaolong's face after saying that. Jiaolong didn't even have time to scream before he was sent flying. Half of his face was swollen, and he spat out a mouthful of teeth. He looked exactly like Igridopovich. If it weren't for their different hair and skin color, they'd look like brothers. Coincidentally, Jiaolong landed in Xue Jianfeng's resting room. He was here to look for Xue Jianfeng, and when he saw the room number, he grabbed the door handle and opened it, screaming, "Master Xue, help! I'm Kang Guifeng's son, Kang Ming's cousin. Someone's trying to kill me, you have to save me, Master Xue." Xue Jianfeng was waiting alone, bored. He didn't know how Lin Yi was going to deal with him, but when he heard Jiaolong's shout, he didn't think much and stood up. "Who the hell dares to kill someone in front of me, Xue Jianfeng? Especially when it's my business partner. Do you want to die? Kang Jiaolong, don't worry, I'm here, and I'll make sure you're safe." He didn't even think that the person dealing with Jiaolong would be Lin Yi. Otherwise, he would have found a turtle shell to hide in and become a ninja turtle for a while. Jiaolong was overjoyed. He dared to mess with Lin Yi because Kang Ming's bragging had convinced him, and also because he'd just gotten in touch with the Sacred Alliance. He knew that this was the power that Kang Ming controlled, and he wasn't afraid of Lin Yi at all. That was why he dared to mock Lin Yi without a care in the world. With Xue Jianfeng's strong stance, Jiaolong straightened his back again and turned to Lin Yi, who was slowly walking towards him. "Lin Yi, don't be too cocky. I'll make sure you won't be able to walk out of this door today." Xue Jianfeng was walking out, wanting to see who hit Jiaolong when he heard Lin Yi's name. His whole body shrunk a few centimeters, completely different from the Jiaolong who had just straightened his back. "Who? Lin Yi?" Xue Jianfeng was still thinking about how Lin Yi was going to deal with him when he heard that the person he was going to deal with was Lin Yi. He was scared out of his wits and quickly released his consciousness, wanting to see if it was someone with the same name. Unfortunately, this was Europe. There was no way something like that could happen. "It really is Lin Yi. King tricked me." Xue Jianfeng wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He wanted to cut Jiaolong into pieces. Lin Yi's calm voice came from the corridor. "Xue Jianfeng, you're here to act cool again. This habit of pretending to be pretentious really needs to be corrected. Don't pretend to be pretentious all the time." Xue Jianfeng's whole body shook. He didn't wait for Lin Yi to finish speaking. He rushed to Jiaolong's side and slapped the other side of Jiaolong's face. The defenseless Jiaolong was sent flying again, crashing into the wall on the other side. Luckily, he didn't spit out any teeth this time, since he'd already lost all of them. Jiaolong didn't even have time to react before Xue Jianfeng's foot landed on his chest. His body that was halfway down the wall stopped in its tracks. "Kang, who do you think you are? How dare you order me around? Are you kidding me? Do you think I'm someone you can order around? Do you believe that I won't teach you a lesson right now? I'll make sure you can't take care of yourself for the rest of your life." Xue Jianfeng was panicking. He was afraid that Lin Yi would turn against him, so he decided to deal with Jiaolong first. Jiaolong looked at Xue Jianfeng, stunned. He stuttered, "Master Xue, you didn't you say you're going to protect me?" Chapter 57:10. Lin Yi smiled faintly. "Xue Jianfeng, are you ignoring me?" Xue Jianfeng quickly turned around and smiled. "Senior Lin. Why are you here? What a coincidence, what did you say?" "I'm ignoring you. How is that possible? You're too much of a joker. I'm teaching my little brother a lesson, and my eyesight isn't good. I didn't notice you were here. I'm sorry, please forgive me. It's fine if your eyesight isn't good, but why are your ears so bad too? Didn't you hear what I said just now?" Lin Yi looked at Xue Jianfeng with a half smile, waiting to see how the guy would continue. Ha 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 ha, you might not believe it, but my ears are ringing with all sorts of teachings from you, Senior Lin. If you were to speak to me, I wouldn't be able to tell if it was an illusion or not. Shui Jianfeng's shamelessness had reached the pinnacle. He could come up with this bullshit without even blushing or gasping for breath. Lin Yi was completely convinced. He wanted to see where this guy's bottom line was, but he was destined to be disappointed. This guy had no bottom line at all. Zhaolong was completely dumbfounded. His swollen face was like a pig's head as he laid on the ground. He couldn't understand how Lin Yi, the guy Kang Mingming said would run away the moment he saw him, could be so powerful that even Master Shui was fawning over him. Lin Yi looked at Zhaolong coldly and waved his hand. Scram. Tell Kang Mingming that I'm waiting to see him. Zhaolong felt as if he'd been pardoned. He didn't dare say anything else as he quickly got up and ran. Although his face was a little pitiful, his body didn't suffer any serious injuries. Lin Yi and Shui Jianfeng had controlled their strength, and their attacks were well controlled. They only wanted to embarrass him a little. Shui Jianfeng looked at Zhaolong's back with envy. How great would it be if he could run with Zhaolong? Lin Yi stepped into the resting room, and Shui Jianfeng took one last look at Zhaolong disappearing around the corner before withdrawing his envious gaze and following Lin Yi. Senior Lin, do you have any other instructions? After Shui Jianfeng came in, he tactfully closed the door and stood respectfully at the side. Lin Yi didn't beat around the bush, getting straight to the point. Who's in charge of the common world right now? Where is the headquarters? Shui Jianfeng was slightly startled. He guessed that this was a sign that Lin Yi was going to make a move against the center. However, he had no way of completely betraying the center to Lin Yi. After all, the center's poison was still in his body. If the center was finished, then he, Shui Jianfeng, would be finished as well. This, I really don't know. Senior Lin, think about it. How long has it been since I left the primordial underworld? How could he have figured out all these things? Shui Jianfeng said with a troubled expression. What he said did make some sense. Lin Yi frowned slightly and said, You said that the person you were going to report to was Dr. Glasses. Who was this person? Where is your base of operations in Milva? Shui Jianfeng thought that Lin Yi already knew all of this, and he couldn't hide it even if he wanted to, so he answered straightforwardly, Dr. Glasses is in charge of the center's research. As for his identity, he's probably the person in charge of the research, right? I'm not too sure myself. He's probably one of the higher-ups in the center, but he's definitely not the most important one. This wasn't a lie, but Shui Jianfeng was implying that Lin Yi had no use in capturing that Dr. Glasses. He wasn't the key person in the center. As for Milva's base, it doesn't have a fixed location. It often changes locations every day or two, so if Senior Lin wants to find the base here, there's no point in doing so. There's nothing of value here. Shui Jianfeng didn't know if Lin Yi would believe him if he said this, so he could only sneak glances at Lin Yi as he spoke, ready to change his words at any time. Lin Yi didn't doubt Shui Jianfeng's words. Although Milva wasn't bad, the headquarters of the center was indeed a little lacking. Moreover, it was normal for the center's headquarters to change locations frequently after knowing that he was here. After all, the incident at Q Luo Mountain had directly chased the center out of the ancient underworld. Senior Lin, why don't you let me be your spy? If I discover that the leader of the center has appeared, I'll inform you immediately. What do you think? Shui Jianfeng suddenly said. Of course, these weren't his sincere words, but if he could deceive Lin Yi and make Lin Yi let him go, it would be a very good thing. Lin Yi was slightly startled. Regardless of whether Shui Jianfeng was sincere or not, this was a good suggestion. After all, Lin Yi didn't intend to kill Shui Jianfeng right now. Before he completely captured the leader of the center, he absolutely couldn't let the center have any suspicions. Otherwise, it would be even more difficult to find clues about the center. Your suggestion is not bad. If you are sincere in helping me, I won't mistreat you. Lin Yi nodded non-committally and said indifferently to Shui Jianfeng. Hearing Lin Yi's words, Shui Jianfeng was instantly overjoyed. He had only said it casually, but he didn't expect Lin Yi to really show signs of agreeing. It seemed that this young master was indeed a genius. Senior Lin, Please rest assured. I definitely want to help you sincerely. As soon as the leader of the center appears, I'll definitely inform you immediately. Moreover, if Dr. Glasses has any research progress, I can also inform you at any time so that you can be prepared. Shui Jianfeng just wanted to leave Lin Yi as soon as possible. Therefore, he kept giving empty promises one after another. Anyway, once he escaped, he wouldn't be able to care about Lin Yi anymore. If you put it this way, I'm really quite interested. If you're making such a promise just to get rid of me, then the next time I see you, it will be the day of your death, said Lin Yi with a faint smile. Although he originally intended to let Shui Jianfeng go, there was no harm in saying a few more words of this kind of casual threat. Shui Jianfeng's body trembled slightly. He quickly put on a smile and said, "How could I? I've admired Senior Lin for a long time. It's my fortune to be able to forsake the darkness for the light. Please rest assured, I'll take care of this matter." After saying that, Shui Jianfeng looked at Lin Yi cautiously. His eyes were filled with "Can I go?" Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, "If you go back like this, you might be suspected. I'd better leave a mark on you." Shui Jianfeng was still thinking about leaving a mark when he immediately felt a pain in his left arm. Then, he heard a crisp crack. His arm was actually broken by Lin Yi. Chapter 57:11. He was cursing Lin Yi in his heart, but he still maintained the necessary respect on the surface. He didn't want to put his other arm on the line. "I'll leave a mark on you. You have a great recovery pill on you, right?" Lin Yi smiled faintly and said without a care. Although he couldn't kill Shui Jianfeng, he could still make him suffer a little. Shui Jianfeng endured the pain and quickly took out a great recovery pill, wanting to swallow it, but it was snatched away by Lin Yi. "Senior Lin, weren't you the one who told me to eat the great recovery pill?" Shui Jianfeng felt so wronged that he wanted to cry. A broken arm wasn't a big injury. Even without the great recovery pill, it could be healed after a period of treatment with qi. It was just that the pain was a little annoying. Lin Yi put away Shui Jianfeng's great recovery pill and said, "No, I wanted you to take out the great recovery pill for me. If you ate it now, what's the point of this injury? Alright, hurry up and go back. Let Dr. Glasses treat you." These words were very reasonable. Shui Jianfeng was speechless and could only say goodbye to Lin Yi with a sullen face. He could finally escape from Lin Yi's clutches. Shui Jianfeng swore that he wouldn't go near any place where Lin Yi was, unless there was a day when his strength could completely overwhelm Lin Yi. After leaving the exhibition venue, Shui Jianfeng quickly rushed to the central stronghold. He wasn't afraid that Lin Yi would use his divine sense to monitor him, because if Lin Yi wanted to follow him, he could move his primordial spirit without being discovered. In the stronghold, the Glasses doctor was studying the Dr. Kang's golden creation medicines formula that Shui Jianfeng sent back. When he saw Shui Jianfeng returning injured, he said indifferently, "Injured? Did you run into Lin Yi again?" Shui Jianfeng cursed, "Isn't it that bastard Lin Yi? Why do I run into him every time? This time, I managed to escape with great difficulty. Luckily, I only lost an arm. Do you have any more great recovery pills? I've run out of them." Chen Dongcheng snickered in his heart, but he had some regrets. If he went alone this time, he might be able to reach an agreement with Lin Yi. There weren't many opportunities to meet Lin Yi alone. Chen Dongcheng took out a great returning pill and handed it to Shui Jianfeng, saying, "Eat mine first. Fortunately, it's just a fracture. It will heal very quickly." The bespectacled doctor said without raising his head, "Don't worry. When I come up with a new potion, I'll give it to you to use. At that time, you don't have to worry about such minor injuries at all. Basically, you'll be able to recover immediately. You don't have to be afraid of getting injured anymore. So magical. Then, I'll be waiting to see." Shui Jianfeng was immediately overjoyed. However, a thought suddenly flashed through his mind. Should I tell Lin Yi about this? Go. Was he crazy? With this potion, he wouldn't have to be afraid of Lin Yi in the future. Shui Jianfeng quickly patted his forehead and drove the crazy thoughts out of his mind. What he said to Lin Yi just now was just a temporary measure. He mustn't take it seriously. What he didn't know was that Chen Dongcheng was also hesitating on the side. Should he inform Lin Yi about this news or use it as a bargaining chip with Lin Yi? In addition to these two people, Big Brother Dafeng also wanted to inform Lin Yi about the situation here. Unfortunately, he didn't have the opportunity to go out alone to contact Lin Yi. He could only worry on the side. At the same time, Igridopovich, who was driven away by Lin Yi, also returned to his home. His family was indeed an ancient aristocratic family in Europe, but it wasn't as powerful as he said. On the other hand, Igridopovich's mother's family, which was his maternal grandfather's family, was the largest mafia family in the area. Seeing that her son had been beaten into a pig's head, Igridopovich's mother was furious. After asking for the reason, the former underworld princess immediately called her brother. Edmund, my dear brother, your nephew was bullied. As an uncle, shouldn't you do something? After the phone was connected, Igridopovich's mother spoke very elegantly. She was no longer angry when she saw her son being beaten up. Edmund, who was on the other end of the phone, laughed and said, Josephine, my dear sister, do you only remember to call your brother when something happens? Shouldn't you contact your family more often if you have nothing to do? Edmund, I admit that what you said is right, but can we talk about your poor nephew first? Josephine didn't seem dissatisfied and continued to speak unhurriedly. On the other side, Edmund shrugged and poured himself a glass of red wine, then said, all right, as an uncle who loves the younger generation, of course I will stand up for our cute little Igridopovich. Tell me, what happened? Josephine smiled in satisfaction and looked at the pitiful Igridopovich, then continued, it's like this. Isn't Milva holding a medical exhibition? There's a medical group from the east, I think they're called Miracle Dr. Guan or something. Their people beat up Igridopovich. Edmund, you didn't see it, but your nephew's teeth were all knocked out. His entire face is swollen. It's so hateful. Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group? Edmund was startled. It sounded familiar. Wait, I think I've heard of this name before. Let me think. Right, one of their products is called Golden Creation, right? It's very effective, and you can't even buy it in Europe. Everything has to be smuggled over. Are they going to enter Europe? This is a good opportunity. My dear Edmund, aren't you focusing on the wrong place? Josephine frowned and expressed her dissatisfaction. That's right, their medicine is really amazing. 5 bodyguards had their limbs broken by them, but after using their medicine, their injuries healed very quickly. This is really surprising, but does this have anything to do with Igridopovich? Oh, yes, my dear Josephine. I have to admit that you're right. Let's talk about how to stand up for Igridopovich, then tell me what's going on with those 5 bodyguard. Edmund was obviously more concerned about the amazing effects of the medicine. As a mafia family, to have such a miraculous medicine was an invincible trump card. Chapter 57:12. As the princess of the underworld, she was used to being shot to death. It was also the simplest and most direct way to take revenge. However, Edmund obviously didn't think so. When he heard the suggestion, he immediately objected, oh, no, my dear sister, I understand how you feel, but this isn't in our family's interest at all. You know, the police have been keeping a close eye on us recently. If there's a shooting, especially if it's an important person from abroad, if it's escalated to a diplomatic level, our family will be in a very passive position. Josephine immediately fell silent. She was originally from that family, so of course she knew that Edmund's words were not false. However, it was impossible for her to just swallow this insult. Igor Rodopovich, who had been listening on the side, came over and said with difficulty, Uncle Edmund, I think you're right. Instead of killing them, why don't we control their channels and make them earn money for us? We can also threaten them and make them pay a higher price. Although Igor Rodopovich didn't say it very clearly, Edmund was already thinking about this, so he immediately understood what he meant. Little Igor, you've really grown up. This is a very good idea. You can talk about it in detail, and also tell us about the 5 bodyguards. Seeing that the person involved, Igor Rodopovich, had the same thoughts as him, Edmonton was in a good mood. If they could become the product distributor for Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company, they could foresee a huge amount of money flowing into their pockets. Igridopovich agreed, and first told him that the 5 bodyguards' hands and feet were broken, and then they took the other party's medicine. In less than 10 minutes, they could barely walk, and so on. Edmund, who was on the other side, took a deep breath. He had already overestimated the effectiveness of the medicine, but he didn't expect it to be even more shocking than he expected. It was almost like magic. This also strengthened Edmund's determination to become the agent of the Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Group. Although his family wasn't involved in the medical industry, they couldn't let go of the opportunity to earn money. Uncle Edmund, are you going to send someone to discuss cooperation now? If that's the case, I think you can get your men to lower the price. This way, we can guarantee our profits and teach them a lesson. I heard that the Sacred Alliance had talked to them before, but nothing was settled in the end. I guess the relationship between the two sides isn't that good. We can provide them with the channels they want the most, and lower the price is a must. Igridopovich laughed sinisterly. He accidentally pulled the wound on his face and immediately grimaced in pain. What you said makes sense. Do you have any other suggestions? Edmund had never thought much of his nephew, thinking that he was just a good-for-nothing. Although he doted on him for the sake of his sister, he had never thought that he would have such thoughts. Igridopovich covered his mouth with his hand and continued carefully, "It's like this. I think we can get their agent rights at a very low price, but don't get into a fight with them. As I said just now, these mysterious Easterners have amazing combat power. We don't need to fight them head-on. We just need to tell them our advantages. If they don't agree to our request, then there will be no place for them in Europe." Igridopovich could see that although Linyi was powerful, he obviously didn't dare to go too far here. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stopped when he saw the security. So, using Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Group as a breakthrough point should be able to threaten Lin Yi's group. At that time, it wouldn't be difficult to make Shu Shahan obediently climb onto young Master Igridopovich's bed. Igridopovich smiled sinisterly and didn't voice out his dirty thoughts. Instead, he hung up the phone with Edmund. Edmund had already arranged for his men to take care of this matter, so all he had to do now was wait at home. Maybe he should get a better set of dentures first. At this time, the crowd in front of Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Group's booth had finally dispersed. However, the popularity brought by Shu Shahan didn't disappear. There were still many people who came to ask some questions. It made the staff arranged by Kang Xiaobo very busy. If it was before the Sacred Alliance, Miracle Doctor Guan's brand would attract a lot of cooperation. However, with the appearance of the Sacred Alliance, Europe's demand for Miracle Doctor Guan's products had decreased a lot. After all, although the Sacred Alliance's products weren't as good as Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Group's products, they were cheaper. Before, Miracle Doctor Guan's products were all smuggled in. The price was enough to scare away most people. Because of this, among the people who asked, most of them wanted to buy a batch of products from Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Group and sell them in Europe. They wanted to see the effect before deciding on other things. There weren't many who wanted to be the agent. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi didn't care. It didn't matter if they didn't have an agent. As long as they could sell to Europe, it was fine. They believed that with the quality of their company's products, they would be able to cause a panic in Europe sooner or later. At this time, 3 white men in black suits walked over arrogantly. The one in front was holding a briefcase. "Who is the person in charge of Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Group here?" The guy with the briefcase glanced at the people at the booth and asked arrogantly. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi looked at each other. They both felt that the other party didn't come with good intentions. However, they weren't afraid of trouble. Lai Changyi stood up and said, "I'm the co-director of Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Group, Lai Changyi. What can I do for you?" "So you're a co-director. So you're the one who can make decisions? Very good." The guy who spoke nodded slightly and pointed at the seat behind him with his chin. "Let's sit down and talk. We want the European agent rights of your Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Group." Chapter 57:13. After sitting down, the man with the briefcase said, "I'm here to negotiate with you on behalf of the Fleischer family. You can call me Abel. Now, tell me, what's the price of the Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Group's exclusive agency in Europe?" Kang Xiaobo raised his eyebrows. He had heard of the Fleischer family. Lan Fen was in charge of collecting information. As her husband, of course, he would pay more attention to it. This family was the biggest mafia family around Milva. They were famous throughout Europe. If there was a ranking, they would be at least in the top 5 of the European mafia. Truth be told, Xiaobo didn't really like working with a house like this. They had too much of a bad reputation, and the Flescher family's name meant butcher. It had been hundreds of years since they'd last changed their ways of doing things. Lai Changyi didn't care. Business was business. No matter who the partner was, it was fine as long as they could enter the European market. If the other party was strong, it would be good for the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group. Mr. Abel, if you're talking about the exclusive agency rights in Europe, then I think an agency fee of 10 million euros per year is quite cheap. As for the price of goods, we can also give you some discounts. We'll ship the goods at a 5% discount of our domestic retail price. Of course, you'll be responsible for all the shipping and customs duties. What do you think? Lai Changyi calculated in his mind and gave a relatively favorable price. One had to know that the price of golden creation that was smuggled from China to Europe was at least 5 to 10 times the domestic retail price. Some places were even more expensive. The price that Lai Changyi gave was definitely a good price. Although Kang Xiaobo didn't really like the Fleischer family, he didn't have any objections since Lai Changyi was negotiating. Abel heard the price and shook his head. No. This price is still too high. You have to know that your products have no foundation in Europe, and you don't have any channels. We, the Fleischer family, will provide all the sales channels. So, this price of 5% is unacceptable. I think that 40% of the domestic retail price should be enough. Lai Changyi suddenly frowned. The 40% discount of the domestic retail price did not mean that there was no profit, but the products exported to Europe could obviously earn double or even 2 or 3 times the profit. There was no reason to continue to reduce the price. After thinking for a while, Lai Changyi calmly said, "I'm sorry, I don't think we can accept this price. If you really want to cooperate sincerely, we'll give you a 10% discount on the domestic retail price, plus an agency fee of 20 million euros per year. How about that? 20% off, 50 million euros for the agency fee." Abel immediately counter-offered, which was within Lai Changyi's acceptable range. Anyway, they only needed to open up the market in the first year. It didn't matter if they earned less. When the market opened up, they could sign a new contract. This time, the contract would not be more than 2 years. After calculating in his heart, Lai Changyi immediately smiled and said, "Deal. I hope we can have a pleasant cooperation." Abel didn't reach out to shake Lai Changyi's hand. Instead, he took out a contract from his briefcase and stuffed it into Lai Changyi's hand. This made Lai Changyi a little embarrassed. There were several similar contracts inside. They were probably prepared according to different negotiation terms. Mr. Abel is really swift and decisive. He even prepared the contract. Lai Changyi laughed and withdrew his hand holding the contract. In his heart, he thought that these Europeans were rude. We, who came from the land of etiquette, don't stoop to their level. Just as he was thinking about this, Lai Changyi flipped open the contract. His eyes suddenly froze. Then, Mr. Lai, who came from the land of etiquette, directly threw the contract in his hand at Abel's annoying and arrogant face. "Get out. You're here to tease me, aren't you?" Lai Changyi's fat face that always had a smile seemed to be covered by frost. A terrifying aura rose from his body. Kang Xiaobo looked at Lai Changyi strangely. This guy had always been a nice guy. When he first met Lin Yi, he would hug Lin Yi's leg and cry. What kind of contract could make Fatty Lai so angry? Abel was unmoved this time. He rearranged the contract and put it on the table. "Mr. Lai, don't forget that this is Europe. It's our Fleischer family's territory. These terms are quite favorable for you. Besides, they were your own terms. Are you going back on your word now? I told you to get out." Lai Changyi narrowed his eyes. His eyes were flashing with anger. Kang Xiaobo reached out to take a look at the contract. His face turned green. The supply price was correct. It was 20% off the domestic retail price. However, The agent fee of €50 million wasn't paid by the Fleischer family to the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group. It was paid by the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group to the Fleischer family. It wasn't that there wasn't such a way to pay agent fees, but basically, it was for those products that had no market at all. They had to beg others to sell them through a channel. In this way, most of the profits from the sales would go to the product company. Would the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's products have no market? If the supply couldn't meet the demand by smuggling 5 to 10 times the price, it showed the profits. If the Fleischer family asked for such an agent fee, then there wouldn't be any supply price because all the profits from the sales of the products would go to the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group. Now, these guys wanted the agent fee for the channel and the profits from the sales of the products. What a joke! This kind of cooperation was equivalent to letting Lai Chang'e and the others pay for the Fleischer family. Instead of that, wouldn't it be better to sell it in the country? As the #1 follower of Lin Yi young thug, Kang Xiaobo's temper was much worse than Lai Chang'e's. In addition, he didn't have a good impression of the Fleischer family. After looking at the contract, he slapped it on Abel's face without saying anything. This time, it wasn't a light throw from Lai Chang'e. It was a solid slap on Abel's face. His face was slapped to the side. Although it didn't contain any qi, it was more powerful than an ordinary adult's slap. Chapter 57:14. After the 2 slaps, Kang Xiaobo's anger subsided a little. He clasped his hands together and shattered the contract into pieces. Then, he pushed Abel and the 2 people beside him out without any explanation. Abel, who had just regained his senses after being slapped twice, shouted furiously, "How dare you do this to me? Damn Easterners! Do you know that if you offend us, no one in Europe will dare to work with you? Just wait to get out of Europe with your tails between your legs." Lin Yi suddenly appeared beside Abel, grabbed him by the back of his collar and threw him out. Then, he threw the other 2 out as well. Then, he said coldly, "You can leave now. I want to see if there's really no one willing to work with us without you." After that, he turned around and smiled at Kang Xiaobo. "Xiaobo, well done. There's no need to be polite to these B***** keys." That being said, the people who came to ask questions earlier turned around and left when they saw this scene. It was obvious that they knew a lot about the Fleischer family. Abel crawled up from 10 meters away, yelling at Lin Yi. "Who the hell are you? How dare you interfere with our Fleischer family's business?" Kang Xiaobo stepped forward and said, "This is our boss. He has the final say in everything in Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company." "Good. Very good. You will regret this." Abel was silent for a while, then he turned around and walked towards Dr. Kang's booth while cursing. At the same time, he turned around and said to Lin Yi, "You're not the only one here with golden creation. Although the effect of Dr. Kang's medicine is slightly weaker than yours, it won't be by much. I'll go look for them." This was obviously a sign of weakness. No one knew if it was Edmund's order or if he was really afraid. But Dr. Kang's cooperation was indeed within the plan. Edmund Fleischer wanted to monopolize the golden creation in the East. It wasn't enough to just get Miracle Dr. Guan's dealership. If he could get Dr. Kang's dealership as well, then he'd be able to make huge profits with a small investment. He'd be able to focus on whichever one was more profitable, and there wouldn't be any competition. Miracle Dr. Guan's booth, which had been filled with people before, became deserted once more after Abel left. No one would come to seek cooperation after knowing that Miracle Dr. Guan had offended the Fleischer family. Kang Xiaobo smiled bitterly. "Boss, it seems that this trip is in vain. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, the increased production capacity can be absorbed in China. If it doesn't work, we can sell it to America. Such a small matter made you give up on your plan to enter Europe. Then you have no ambition." Lin Yi patted Kang Xiaobo's shoulder with a smile. He didn't seem to mind at all. Lai Chang'e also came over with a smile. "Boss is right. We'll cross the bridge when we get there. Don't worry." "Oh right, boss, why did you come alone?" "Oh, I came back to take a look. They're still eating. Why don't you 2 go and eat as well? Let them watch over here," Lin Yi said casually. He also noticed Abel and the others coming over. It seemed like they didn't come with good intentions, so he came over to take a look. It's fine. You go eat, boss. Old Lai and I will wait here. Maybe someone will come and ask about it. Kang Xiaobo said a little dispiritedly. He still had some ideas about entering Europe, so he wanted to see if there were more opportunities. Lin Yi sighed softly in his heart. Originally, he didn't want to continue to intervene in the affairs of the secular world, but now it seemed that he still had to use his previous relationships. It was not impossible to destroy the Fleischer family by force, but unless this method could wipe out the entire population of Europe, it was bound to cause a backlash in the future. At that time, Lin Yi would return to Heavenstage Island, and Kang Xiaobo and the others would become the people who would bear the brunt of the anger. He took out his phone and dialed the familiar number. After it was connected, Lin Yi opened his mouth and wanted to say, "Princess, help me check." But he immediately realized that Ran Ran had fallen into a deep sleep. The intelligence contact of the Black Butterfly organization had probably been changed a long time ago. Sure enough, there was a pleasant but unfamiliar female voice on the other side. She said softly to Lin Yi, "Hello." Lin Yi replied, "I'm fine." Then the person on the other side said, "The Heavenly King covers the Earth Tiger." Lin Yi whispered, "The Black Widow is dead." To be honest, Lin Yi didn't understand how his master came up with such a contact code back then, and it hadn't changed for so many years. When Ran Ran was still around, Lin Yi didn't need to say it because Ran Ran knew Lin Yi's number and voice. As long as it was Lin Yi calling, she would know immediately. "May I ask for your code name?" The soft female voice continued to explain the process. Lin Yi withdrew his thoughts and said faintly, "Eagle, killer code Z0001. "Hello, Eagle. Is there anything I can help you with?" The girl's tone was noticeably more respectful after Lin Yi introduced himself. "Please help me check the contact information of a person with the surname Buffon in my previous mission. I forgot his name, but I only know that he is the young master of the Buffon family in Europe." Lin Yi only remembered that there was such a person, and he should be able to help Kang Xiaobo and the others. "Okay, please wait a moment," the female voice said softly, and then continued after only 2 or 3 seconds, "I found it. I have sent it to your mobile phone. Is there anything else I can help you with?" "No, thank you." Lin Yi thanked her and hung up the phone directly. Then, he opened the text message. Sure enough, he had received a new message. It was the contact number of the young master of the Buffon family. As long as he could contact him, the threat of the Fleischer family could be resolved. Kerman Buffon, this was the person Lin Yi was looking for. In a mission that year, Lin Yi saved Kerman's life. Now that he was looking for him to do something, he wouldn't refuse. The phone rang for a long time before it was connected. Then, there was deafening music and noise from the other end. It seemed that this guy was out at a bar. "Hello, who is it? Say something. Don't disturb me from drinking," a young man's voice shouted impatiently. It seemed that he was a little unhappy about being disturbed. Lin Yi smiled slightly and said plainly, "Kerman Buffon? I am Eagle." The other side seemed to be stunned for a moment, and then there was an excited scream, "Eagle? Brother Eagle? Quiet. You guys keep quiet." Chapter 57:15. Lin Yi smirked. It seemed like Kerman did not forget that he saved his life. Also, the Buffon family seemed to be quite powerful. Kerman took a few deep breaths. Then, he asked nervously and excitedly, "Brother Ying, is that really you?" "It's me. I haven't seen you for a long time. How are you?" Lin Yi casually greeted him. After all, they had not contacted each other for many years. "Of course I'm fine. Damn it, Brother Ying, where have you been all these years? Do you know how many times I've been looking for you? But your previous organization told me that you've already retired. They don't even have your contact information. I've sent people all over Asia to look for you. Unfortunately, there has been no news of you. You finally remembered to call me." Kerman spoke very quickly. Fortunately, Lin Yi's English hearing was not bad. Otherwise, he might not have been able to understand what he was saying. However, Kerman said that he had been looking for him. This surprised Lin Yi. Back then, he only saved him once. Later on, they established a certain level of friendship. But there was no need for Kerman to look for him for so many years, right? For example, Lin Yi himself did not even remember Kerman's name. If it wasn't for the detailed information in the text message, it would be awkward for him not to be able to remember Kerman's name. Brother Ying, where are you now? Aisha. Give me the specific coordinates. I'll fly over to meet you immediately. After Kerman spoke, he immediately asked for Lin Yi's location. It seemed like he had been looking for him for a long time. Lin Yi smiled and said, I'm in Europe now. Milva, if it's convenient for you, you can come over and meet me. I have something to talk to you about. Milva. I'm in the nearby town of Mendoza. It's very close to Milva. Brother Ying, wait for me. I'll come over immediately. Where do you want to meet me? Kerman was overjoyed. His voice was filled with excitement. Lin Yi thought about it and said, I'm staying at the Milva International Hotel. Why don't you come over there and call me when you're there? No problem. I'll be there in 30 minutes. Brother Ying, wait for me. Kerman immediately hung up. It seemed like he rushed out to drive. Lin Yi tilted his head. He didn't know why this guy wanted to see him so much. Perhaps it was because he admired him. After all, he was only a teenager when Lin Yi saved him, the age where he worshipped heroes. After seeing Lin Yi's skills, he made Lin Yi his idol. No matter what, Kelman's attitude was helpful to Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. Lin Yi didn't think too much about it. He turned back to Xiaobo and Lai Changyi. Come, let's go back to the hotel. I've found someone to represent us. There shouldn't be a problem with the European channels. Xiaobo stared blankly at Lin Yi. Boss, you're so cool. You even know people in Europe. Lai Changyi slapped the back of Kang Xiaobo's head. He laughed and said, What are you talking about? Do you only know how awesome Boss is now? Kang Xiaobo thought about it and agreed. However, he still had to take revenge for being hit by Lai Changyi. Two joint directors were fighting without any warning. The atmosphere just now was gone. Lin Yi smiled and shook his head. He didn't care about the two. He walked out of the venue and called Sun Jingyi and the others. He told them that he was going back to the hotel and that they would go back together after Languja finished his meal. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi laughed as they followed behind Lin Yi. They didn't care about the booth. After what the Fleischer family did on the first day, they probably wouldn't have any intention to cooperate. A few workers were enough to deal with it. After the three of them returned to the hotel, they waited for Kerman at the bar. Kang Xiaobo asked Lin Yi how he knew Kerman. Boss, didn't you transfer from the mountains to Songshan High School? Since when did you know the young master of a big family in Europe? Kang Xiaobo poured a glass of red wine for Lin Yi and asked curiously. These lackeys didn't know much about Lin Yi's past, and when he was with Lin Dongfang, no one dared to disturb his and Aunt Qing's private world, so it was normal for him to ask about it now. Ha! Who said I'm going to Songshan High School? I'm actually going there to be a bodyguard. Lin Yi smiled as he reminisced about the time when he first came to Songshan. I came here before when I was doing a mission, so it's normal to know people from Europe. Boss, you're going to be a bodyguard? For who? Kang Xiaobo paused and looked like he wanted to gossip. Yao Yao, of course. You can't even guess that. It's a mission my old man gave me, and it's a long story, so I'll keep it short. Lin Yi explained the whole story briefly, and the two felt as if they'd finally understood what was going on. I see, that's why Boss doesn't look like a student. Speaking of which, Boss, why didn't you go after the two prettiest girls at home and went after sis-in-law Tang Yun instead? Kang Xiaobo laughed as he wondered if Boss thought that rabbits don't eat the grass near their nest. Lin Yi looked strangely at Kang Xiaobo and said, Didn't you tell me to go after Tang Yun? Kang Xiaobo was dumbfounded. It seemed like it was true. He couldn't say anything and could only raise his glass to Lin Yi and Lai Changyi. The three gently clinked their glasses. After Lai Changyi took a sip of red wine, he said to Lin Yi with interest, Boss, can you tell us about your glorious past? Otherwise, wouldn't it be shameful if we don't even know Boss' glorious past? Kang Xiaobo immediately nodded and said, That's right, Boss, tell us about that Kerman Buffon first. How did you meet him? He seems to have some power here. Okay, since we have nothing to do anyway, let's just talk about it. Lin Yi usually wouldn't talk about his past. He was in a good mood today, so he told Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi, I was only 16 years old at that time. I came to Europe to carry out a mission and saved the life of an 11 or 12-year-old boy. That was Kerman Buffon. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi listened attentively. After 10 seconds, they saw that Lin Yi didn't continue talking and they couldn't help but ask hesitantly, Boss, then? Then that's it. Lin Yi said matter-of-factly. Chapter 57:16. However, Lin Yi could go into detail about what happened after he arrived at Songshan, but Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi both knew about it. Seeing how emotional Lin Yi was, they could only sigh along with him. Not long after, Kerman's call arrived. After knowing Lin Yi's exact location, Kerman only took 5 to 6 minutes to appear at the entrance of the bar. The young man from back then had grown a lot taller. He was wearing a simple white t-shirt and jeans with a beige casual suit. Coupled with his slightly curly short blonde hair, one would think of the word low-key luxury at first glance. Kerman, over here. Lin Yi waved at the door and stood up with Kang Xiaobo. This was out of respect for a friend, and it had nothing to do with Kerman's identity. Kerman looked towards the direction of Lin Yi's voice, and his face was instantly filled with joy. He stretched his long legs and rushed over, not even bothering to greet the young man behind him. Brother Ying, I finally found you. Kerman ignored Lin Yi's outstretched hand and rushed up to give Lin Yi a big hug. Then, he smiled and nodded at Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi. He hadn't introduced Lin Yi officially, but since he was one of Lin Yi's people, it was only natural for him to express his goodwill. Lin Yi waited for the person who came with Kerman to come over before gesturing for everyone to sit down. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi introduced themselves, saying that they were both Lin Yi's underlings, instantly making Kerman feel a lot closer. Brother Ying, this is Lyman Gerard, my friend. His family is related to mine, so Lyman often comes out with me to play. After Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi introduced themselves, Kerman also introduced the young man who came with him. Greetings, big brothers. I am Lyman Gerard. If you have any trivial matters in Europe, you can look for me to make arrangements. If there are any major matters, I will still need Brother Kerman's help. Lyman said with a brilliant smile. This young man easily gave people a good impression. He did not have the aura of a playboy. Perhaps it was because of Lyman's respect for Lin Yi and the others. From the conversation between the two, Lin Yi could easily determine that Lyman should be Zuckerman's younger brother, or in other words, the Gerard family itself was the younger brother of the Buffon family, so Lyman was more or less a follower, following Zuckerman everywhere to play. After the new glasses were delivered, Lyman took the initiative to take the bottle and poured wine for Kelman. He also asked Lin Yi and the others if they needed any more wine before pouring it for himself. Brother Ying, where have you been all these years? Why couldn't I find you? After raising his glass and toasting Lin Yi, Kerman couldn't wait to ask. Lin Yi smiled faintly, it's me, I'm in school. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi couldn't help but laugh. Their boss just said that he wasn't going to school, but to be a bodyguard, and now he said that he was going to school. But this wasn't wrong, Lin Yi did stay in school for a long time. Of course, it was only in name. In reality, he skipped classes every 2 to 3 days. School? Kerman paused, not expecting an answer like this. No wonder the men he sent out couldn't find Lin Yi at all. He'd never asked his men to pay attention to any of the students in the school. You said that you've been looking for me for a long time, what's the matter? Lin Yi wasn't in a hurry to talk about Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. He asked Kelman first. Kelman shook his head, trying to get rid of the fact that Lin Yi was going to school. He put on a look of admiration. It's like this, Brother Ying, I've always wanted to be your disciple. I was young back then, so I didn't think about it. I only regretted it after you went back. I've been looking for you for a few years now, and I finally found you. Today, you must take me as your disciple and teach me martial arts. Lin Yi was speechless. This was really a hero complex. For the sake of learning martial arts, this guy had been looking for someone all over the world for a few years. This guy's heart was quite firm. Lyman followed, Brother Ying, if it's possible, please take me as your disciple. I'm the same as Brother Kelman, I admire your martial arts. Don't worry, Lyman. If Brother Ying takes me as his disciple, I'll definitely take you as my disciple. After we finish learning, we'll be able to sweep across Europe. Kelman patted his follower's shoulder, as if Lin Yi had already agreed to take them as his disciples. But Lin Yi didn't say anything. How did it become a certainty? Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi couldn't stop laughing. They didn't expect to encounter such a fun thing with their boss. It wasn't a wasted trip. Lin Yi looked at the two's shoulders and smirked. He said to Kelman, "You guys don't have any foundation right now. You should learn from Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi first. I taught them. You guys will be in contact with each other in the future, so it'll be convenient for them to teach you." Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi were dumbfounded. Why were they involved? They were the co-directors of the Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Group. They didn't have time to play around with these two kids. In fact, the two of them were only a few years older than Kerman, but from their point of view, Kerman could only be considered as children who were still wet behind the ears. Kelman and Learman looked at Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi with distrust. Especially Lai Changyi. He was at the foundational stage, but he still looked like a fatty. He didn't look like a master at all. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi weren't happy. Kelman and Learman weren't happy either. Lin Yi smiled and pointed at the alloy table in front of him. He said to Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi, "The corner of this table is a bit sharp. It'll hurt easily. Cut it off with your hands and make it smoother." He wanted them to show off their skills to intimidate these two foreigners. Actually, what Lin Yi said was child's play to Kang Xiaobo and Kelman. It was effortless. Since their boss ordered them, they could only shake their heads and smile. Both of them stretched out a finger and gently drew an arc on the corner of the table. Immediately, a smooth and thin line was cut out of the alloy table by their zhenqi. Both of them casually pinched the small corner of the table and took it off. Kelman and Learman's mouths were wide open. They couldn't believe what they saw. Is this magic? Brother Ying, you brought two magicians, right? Chapter 57:17. Kang Xiaobo looked at him like he was looking at a country bumpkin and said proudly, "Come, Kerman, move aside. This arc isn't smooth enough, let me fix it." After Kerman moved aside, Kang Xiaobo wiped the corner with his hand, and a layer of fine metal powder was scattered on the ground. Kerman looked at the corner again, and the shape had indeed changed. Only then did he believe that what he saw was real. At that moment, the two European youths looked at Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi with shining eyes. Their shocked expressions made the two of them feel that it wasn't bad to have two disciples like them. Lin Yi smiled. "All right, this matter is settled. Now, let's talk business." Kerman wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth and sat up straight. "Big Brother Ying, if you need anything, just let me know. I'll do my best to help you." "That's not necessary. If you're troubled, you don't have to force yourself," Lin Yi said with a smile before getting back to the main topic. "Kerman, I wanted to ask, does your family have a medical business?" "Haha, so Big Brother Ying wants to ask about business. Then there's no problem, I'll definitely be able to help. My family does all kinds of business. Just leave it to me, Big Brother Ying." Kerman smiled and said confidently, "All kinds of business? Is it a shopping mall?" Kang Xiaobo interrupted with a smile. He didn't think that Kerman would turn around and nod at him. "We do have shopping malls, but there's only about 30 of them in the whole of Europe. We need to continue expanding." Kang Xiaobo's eyes lit up. It seemed like the Buffon family was really strong. From what Kerman said, shopping malls were one of the less important businesses, but these channels were very helpful to the sales of the Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Group's products. Lin Yi nodded. "That's good. Have you heard of the Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Group? Miracle Doctor Guan wants to sell his products in Europe, and he needs an agent." Before Lin Yi could finish, Kerman said excitedly, "Miracle Doctor Guan Medical Corporation, the one with the gold saw medicine, right? I know. When I sent people to find Brother Ying, I heard about Miracle Doctor Guan's golden saw medicine. My men even smuggled some over, and the effects were amazing. Brother Ying, are you representing Miracle Doctor Guan's medical company? If that's the case, you must give us the dealership." Lin Yi and the other two were slightly stunned. They didn't expect Kerman to know about their products. However, his explanation was acceptable. Anyone who stayed in the country and came into contact with the gold sore medicine would have a deep impression of this product. Since Kerman knew about it and had the intention, it was easy to negotiate. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi reintroduced themselves as the co-director of Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. Kang Xiaobo immediately decided to cooperate with them. Although Kerman was young, he was the leader of the new generation in the Buffon family who had a lot of power. He could take the dealership on his own. Out of respect for Lin Yi and the fact that he was about to learn martial arts from Kang Xiaobo, Kerman generously gave them the greatest sincerity he could. The dealership fee to Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company every year was 100 million euros, and the supply price was the retail price in the country. This condition was much better than what he just gave to the Fleischer family. The dealership fee was a few times higher, not to mention the supply price. Furthermore, Kerman wasn't just giving away money for free. Cooperation was a win-win situation. His subordinates were in the business of smuggling godly Dr. Guanguan's golden sore medicine, and they knew how terrifying the profits were. As long as they could get the exclusive agency rights, a mere 100 million was nothing. If they had a sufficient supply, they could easily earn 700 to 800 million euros a year. Both parties were very sincere, and they quickly finished discussing the details. They agreed to sign the contract tomorrow, and Kuman would hold a press conference to spread the news. After all, Miracle Dr. Guan's golden sore medicine had always been a smuggled product, but it had a good reputation. If they used this opportunity to spread the news, it would definitely be an instant hit. After discussing the business, Kerman, who looked like an elite in the business world, immediately turned into a young man who dreamed of martial arts. He pestered Lin Yi and the other two and started asking all sorts of questions. In the end, the two were drunk and sent to the hotel room. Lin Yi and the other two finally got away. It was almost 1:30 in the morning. Sun Jingyi and the others had already returned to rest. The three went back to their rooms to rest. The next afternoon, House Buffon arranged a press conference at Miracle Dr. Guan's booth to prepare for the signing of the contract with the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group. All of this was handled by House Buffon, and Lin Yi didn't have to worry about it. Kerman, on the other hand, only woke up at noon, and after washing up, he came to the stadium in high spirits. It wasn't time yet. The press conference hadn't been set up yet, but Abel got the news from somewhere. He knew that someone was going to sign a contract with the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group, so he rushed over with his men. Seeing that Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi were there, but Lin Yi wasn't there, Abel waved his hand and ordered his men to spread out. They surrounded Miracle Dr. Guan's booth, preventing anyone from entering the area. Kang Xiaobo's face darkened when he saw this. Abel, what's the meaning of this? Are you causing trouble? Haha, which eye of yours saw me causing trouble? I'm maintaining order. I'm helping you. Shouldn't you be thanking us? Abel was quite shameless. He lied through his teeth. Thank you, but we don't need it. Please leave. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Kang Xiaobo laughed coldly. Abel was stunned. Kang Xiaobo's actions last night were still fresh in his memory. But Igradopovich said that these people followed the rules. At least they didn't dare to act recklessly after the security arrived. Abel was at ease. Is this your private place? Why don't we call the security and ask if there's such a saying? Abel looked at Kang Xiaobo mockingly. He knew that Kang Xiaobo wouldn't be able to do anything. Chapter 57:18. Abel looked at Kang Xiaobo's defeated expression and smiled proudly. Mr. Kang, I've said it before. Without the support of the Fleischer family, you'll have a hard time in Europe. How about it? I've prepared a new contract from yesterday. Why don't you sign it? Look at how magnanimous I am. You should be grateful for this. Languja suddenly appeared out of nowhere with a big bag of hamburgers in his arms. His mouth was also stuffed full. Seeing Abel's arrogant look, he turned to Kang Xiaobo and said vaguely, Brother Kang, this guy looks quite annoying. Do you want me to help you beat him up? Kang Xiaobo smiled. These days, he and Languja had become familiar with each other. He knew that Languja simply liked to fight. To be more precise, he liked to bully noobs. However, Lin Yi didn't allow him to casually make a move. If Kang Xiaobo agreed, then it wouldn't violate Lin Yi's order. No need. Languzha, you go find boss. I can handle this. Kang Xiaobo smiled and waved his hand. He knew that Languzha didn't hold back. He didn't dare to let Languzha make a move. Languzha shook his head regretfully. He took out a hamburger from the bag and took a big bite. Then he went to the lounge. Lin Yi, Sun Jingyi, Xu Shahan, and the others were waiting there. Abel suddenly felt cold sweat on his forehead. The moment he saw Languzha, he thought of the 5 bodyguards of Igridopovich. It was said that they were caught by this blue-haired guy in an instant. Then, their limbs were mercilessly broken. If Languzha attacked him just now, wouldn't he end up in the same miserable state? Abel was secretly afraid. He didn't dare to say anything to provoke Languzha. Anyway, today's goal was to destroy the contract between Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Company and some European companies or individuals. As long as he showed the name of the Fleischer family, he believed that not many people would dare to mess with them. Yo, isn't this the watchdog of the Fleischer family? Why are you in such a good mood? Where's your master? Didn't he come with you with a leash? Just when Abel was thinking that not many people would dare to offend the Fleischer family, a fearless person walked over. It was the young master of the Buffon family, Kerman Buffon. Looking back, Abel's face turned ugly. Kerman didn't bring Learman alone. There were more than 20 bodyguards. They were supposed to maintain order at the scene. Who would have thought that they would be surrounded by the people from the Fleischer family before the conference even started? Kerman, this is the territory of the Fleischer family. I'm doing something serious right now. Are you trying to provoke us by bringing people here? Abel said in a deep voice. Although he was afraid of the Buffon family, he wasn't afraid. I don't have the time to provoke a watchdog. I'm here for serious business. Do you see the setup for the press conference? Kerman pointed at the press conference, which had yet to be completed. His meaning was self-explanatory. Kerman Buffon. This is the business that our Fleischer family wanted first. Are you trying to snatch it from us? Abel stared at Kerman angrily. He immediately realized that it was the Buffon family that had formed a partnership with the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group, but he also knew that there wasn't much hope for this business. The strength of the Buffon family was no worse than that of the Fleischer family. Perhaps it was even stronger. More importantly, the Fleischer family and the Buffon family had always been at odds. They were originally enemies, so they would not give him face. As expected, Kerman laughed. That's funny. You're saying it as if you didn't snatch business from us. Plus, I've officially formed a partnership agreement with Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company. I'm not like some shameless people who only know how to use underhanded methods. Forget it. Why am I wasting my breath on a dog? It's a waste of my saliva and lowers my status. Abel's face turned green. He gritted his teeth. Kerman Buffon, don't forget where you are. This is Milva, the territory of our Fleischer family. Aren't you afraid that old Buffon will be sad if you come here and cause trouble? This time, Learman didn't need Kerman to speak. He sneered, what a joke. If your Fleischer family dares to touch Kerman here, we, the Gerard family, will be the first to teach you a lesson. Abel narrowed his eyes and looked at Kerman and Learman with murderous intent. Although the Gerard family was the younger brother of the Buffon family, and their strength was more than a level lower, the Gerard family was famous for their crazy fighting spirit. If they really bit the Fleischer family, even if they couldn't kill the Fleischer family, they would definitely be able to tear off a large piece of flesh. I'm in a good mood today. I don't want to argue with a watchdog like you. Get lost. If you want to cause trouble for this young master, send Edmund or those useless sons of his to deal with me. You're not qualified, Kerman said to Abel in disdain. He then waved his hand and asked his men to chase him and the Fleischer family away. This was their territory, but Kerman had the confidence to do so. Needless to say, this guy had the potential to become an overlord when he fully matured. Although Abel was unwilling, there was nothing he could do. His heart was bleeding as he watched a cornucopia of business being snatched away like this. If he had known this earlier, he would have signed the contract according to Lai Chengyi's conditions yesterday. The conditions were really very favorable. It was very easy to earn €1 billion a year. Now, it was all for naught. Dr. Kang's golden saw medicine, which was similar to miracle Dr. Guan's, was taken away by the Sacred Alliance long ago. The Fleischer family who lost both ends could only watch as others ate the meat. They couldn't even get a share of the soup. All of this was because of that idiot Igridopovich. What a stupid idea, Abel thought hatefully. Unfortunately, he couldn't do anything. Kerman was right. He was just a dog under Edmund, and Igridopovich was Edmund's nephew. What should he do in the end? Edmund had to figure it out himself. Chapter 57:19. Kang Xiaobo smiled and nodded. Boss is here. He's resting in the lounge. Did you sleep well last night? It was all right. This little bit of wine is nothing. How about we go for a drink after today's conference? Kerman said with a smile as if he wasn't the drunk person yesterday. Kang Xiaobo didn't mind. With his strength, he could drink a jar of white wine, let alone a few bottles of red wine. It wasn't a big deal. It was normal for him to not get drunk after thousands of glasses of true qi. The two of them stood at the side and chatted for a while. The background of the conference was almost done. If the banner Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group authorizes Buffon Group to sign the contract for all products in Europe was hung earlier, the unlucky Abel probably wouldn't have walked into the muzzle of the gun. That's why it was said that the early worm would be eaten by the bird. Wouldn't everything be fine if you came a little later? With the Buffon family's presence, the rest of the process went smoothly. Kerman, as the representative of the Buffon family, signed his name with Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi under the flashing lights. Then, they exchanged the contract and officially announced the establishment of the partnership. The Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group had also begun their steps into Europe. Although the Fleischer family was unwilling, they didn't dare to do anything to Kerman on the surface. Both parties were enemies, but before they had full confidence, no one would go against Kerman. Especially since this was the Fleischer family's territory. If anything happened to Kerman, it didn't matter if it was done by them or not. In the end, the Fleischer family would be besieged by the other neutral families. So, not only could Edmund not do anything to Kerman, he had to ensure Kerman's safety. As for whether he would secretly find someone to kill Kerman after leaving the Fleischer family's territory, it would depend on the situation. After the signing was done, there was nothing for Lin Yi to do. The matter of opening the European market would naturally be handled by the Buffon family. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi only needed to sit at home and collect the money. Big brother Ying, where are you going now? Kerman chuckled as he followed behind Lin Yi. He had found a big business for his family, which was a huge contribution. Furthermore, he could finally learn the martial arts that he had been dreaming of. His mood was indescribable. Kerman did not need to worry about the follow-up business, so he was very free now. It would be best if he could follow Lin Yi around. Lin Yi smiled and said, I'm going to Lanmi with them to watch Cheng Yi's concert. If you have nothing to do, come with us. Even if Lin Yi didn't invite him, Kerman would probably go with him. Hence, Lin Yi decided to ask him to come along. Kuman immediately smiled and nodded, I'm fine. I'm free all day. I know Cheng Yi. She's a very famous Chinese singer. I happen to be her fan. Let's go together. Brother Ying, do you have tickets? Do you want me to get someone to buy them? Cheng Yi's concert tickets were sold out a month ago. There was no such thing as a scalper in Europe. Only a young master like Kerman would dare to ask for tickets. Lin Yi smiled and said, that's not necessary. We can just go in. Go in. Kerman was a little suspicious, but when he saw Xu Shahan coming out of the resting room, he knew how to get in. Xu Shahan tilde. What was unexpected was that Lyman and Keeman, these two guys that were inseparable, were Shahan's fans as well. They didn't even care about Lin Yi and the others when they saw Shahan, rushing over to ask for an autograph and a picture. Sure enough, the young master of a big family was still an ordinary person. He would have the need to chase after celebrities. However, compared to trash like Igoridopovich, these two brats were obviously more likable. At least they wouldn't show off their status and look down on celebrities and other artists. After a while, Kerman found a long limousine and put Lin Yi and the others in. They left for Blue Rice. There was food, drinks, and entertainment in the car, so they didn't feel that time was short. By the time they reached Lan Mi and Cheng Yi's concert venue, the sky was already dark. The group had already eaten their fill in the car, so they didn't need to find a place to eat. Xu Shahan directly brought them to the venue. Of course, the only one who was unhappy was Languja. The limousine wasn't enough for him to eat his fill. A truck was more suitable. With Cheng Yi's arrangements, Lin Yi and the others were seated at the very front. Kerman and Lin Yi were quite pleased with themselves as well. They'd always gotten the best seats for concerts, but this was the first time Xu Shahan had brought them here personally. It was a completely different feeling. A song and dance started the concert. Cheng Yi's voice was different from Xu Shahan's. It lacked the ethereal aura, but it was more fiery and direct. Coupled with her graceful figure and sexy dance, it ignited the atmosphere of the audience. If Xu Shahan was a fairy, then Cheng Yi was a witch. When the two appeared at the same time, the entire venue seemed to explode. The sound waves shot up to the sky. One could see how popular the two were in Europe. They were definitely treated like superstars. After the song, Cheng Yi held Xu Shahan's hand and said shyly, "Today, I'm very happy that so many friends came to my concert. Especially one of them, she's my most important and favorite person." The entire audience burst into a huge uproar. No one had expected that Cheng Yi, who had never been involved in any scandals, would suddenly say such a thing. Lin Yi was also a little stunned. He vaguely knew what Cheng Yi was going to say, but he couldn't do anything right now. After the crowd calmed down, Cheng Yi continued, "I've always liked this person, but I've never confessed. Because he's the person my good sister likes, so I didn't dare to say it. If it was possible, I would never say it. But today, my good sister encouraged me. Happiness is something that you have to fight for yourself. So, I mustered up the courage to confess to him in front of the whole world." Chapter 57:20. Lin Yi sweated profusely. Cheng Yi had already made it so clear. If he still couldn't confirm that he was the one being confessed to, then he would really be an idiot. To be honest, Lin Yi had a good impression of Cheng Yi. Although Cheng Yi approached Xu Shahan as a spy and tried to seduce Lin Yi, everything proved that she was a good girl. Sun Jingyi, Kang Xiaobo, and Lai Changyi all looked at Lin Yi with a mischievous smile. Lin Yi already had a lot of girlfriends. He didn't care if there was another Cheng Yi. Even Sun Jingyi wasn't unhappy at all. This matter would be settled after Cheng Yi said it. The fans all shouted in unison, "Confession, confession, confession." Although Cheng Yi was a super idol, the fans were more appreciative of their idols. They were full of romantic genes. To be able to witness this romantic moment was also very fortunate for them. After getting the encouragement from the fans, Cheng Yi finally gathered her courage and looked at Xu Shahan gratefully. Under Xu Shahan's encouraging gaze, she let go of her hand and slowly walked to the front of the stage. The spotlight followed Cheng Yi. It was as if she was the only person left in the world. When she said the name of the person she was going to confess to, another spotlight would shine on him. The two of them became the protagonists of the world. Suddenly, all the light sources disappeared without any warning. The whole place was plunged into endless darkness. At first, everyone thought that it was the preparation for the confession. Because Cheng Yi was shy, she needed some darkness to boost her courage. Many people laughed out of kindness. Only Lin Yi felt that something was wrong. The moment the light disappeared, Lin Yi's divine sense was completely blocked. Even the people around him couldn't feel it. This was obviously not a normal situation. "Languja, protect them." Lin Yi let out a low roar and grabbed Sun Jingyi, who was beside him. He grabbed her slender waist and flew up to the stage. In his memory, Cheng Yi's location was nowhere to be found. Lin Yi didn't stop and continued to rush towards Xu Shahan. At the same time, he shot out tens of zhenqi towards Xu Shahan. In the next moment, Lin Yi's hand held Xu Shahan's slightly cold palm. His heart suddenly calmed down, and he whispered, "Shahan? Brother Lin, it's me." Xu Shahan's voice was slightly shaky. "There was something trying to catch me just now, luckily you came fast. Where is Yi?" "I don't know either." Lin Yi answered casually. He shot out a ball of Dan fire and controlled it to circle around the stage. However, the Dan fire could barely light up a foot around him. After flying around, there was nothing. Where was Cheng Yi? The audience finally realized that something was wrong and started to panic. They all screamed because their phones couldn't light up the person next to them. Not to mention the light from the screen, even if they turned on the phone's flashlight function, it was the same. It was as if there was a monster in the darkness that was devouring the light. Lin Yi brought Sun Jingyi and Shu Shahan back to the front row. At this time, it was better for everyone to stay together and take care of each other. 10 seconds later, the lights came back on. The audience's emotions calmed down a little, but Cheng Yi was still nowhere to be seen. The security guards started to appear to maintain the order and let everyone stay calm. Lin Yi's divine sense returned to its original function, but no matter how he looked, he couldn't find any trace of Cheng Yi. A living person completely disappeared under Lin Yi's eyes without leaving a trace. This kind of possibility was almost impossible. But now that it happened, the biggest suspect was only the center. Brother Lin, where did he go? Shu Shahan grabbed Lin Yi's arm tightly and asked in panic. Lin Yi shook his head. I can't find her at the moment, but don't worry, we will find Yi eventually. After comforting Shu Shahan, Lin Yi turned to Languzha. I'll leave this place to you. You must protect their safety. I'll go find Yi. Languzha nodded solemnly. Don't worry, boss. I'll protect them with my life. With his strength, apart from Lin Yi, he was basically invincible in the secular world, so Lin Yi was very relieved. As long as they were by Languzha's side, there shouldn't be any problems. After nodding at the crowd, Lin Yi transformed into his primordial spirit form and flew above the concert venue. He expanded his divine sense to almost cover the entire blue rice. Unfortunately, no matter how hard Lin Yi searched, he couldn't find any trace of Cheng Yi. It was as if she had never been here in the first place, completely disappearing without a trace. At the same time, on the flying saucer far away from Lanmi, Jiaolong was laughing weirdly. Lin Yi, that idiot, how dare he hit me? You always like to act cool in front of me. Are you dumbfounded now? Ha ha ha. Let him be arrogant. Now that he can't even protect his woman, let's see how he'll act cool in the future. Chen Dongcheng looked at Jiaolong in disdain from the corner. He really looked down on this guy. He didn't have any skills at all, and yet he always wanted to step on Lin Yi. If it wasn't for his brother Kang Mingming's position in the center, he wouldn't have let him on this flying saucer at all. Chen Dongcheng, who already had thoughts of joining Lin Yi's side, felt that the center was hopeless. They were just a bunch of defeated soldiers who didn't dare to fight Lin Yi face to face, and even resorted to kidnapping people. They even let trash like Jiaolong participate in the plan. It was like a joke. How was this even a big deal? It was a pity that Chen Dongcheng couldn't go out as he pleased, and he didn't have any tools to contact Lin Yi. Otherwise, this would be a good opportunity to show off. Jiaolong was still laughing maniacally, and Chen Dongcheng snorted inwardly. This idiot thought that he could threaten Lin Yi just because he had Cheng Yi in his hands. If he got caught by Lin Yi, wouldn't he just die? If he wanted to fight against someone as strong as Lin Yi, the most important thing was to have enough strength to fight him. Otherwise, everything would just be empty talk. Even he, Chen Dongcheng, could see through this, but none of the smart people in the center could see through it. It could only be said that they were a bunch of short-sighted rats. Chapter 57:21. In the isolation room, Cheng Yi woke up, but she didn't panic. She calmly observed her surroundings. It wasn't as if she didn't know anyone in the ship, like Jiaolong, the son of Miracle Dr. Kang's family. She knew who he was. Jiaolong, did you kidnap me? Cheng Yi's eyes stopped on Jiaolong as she said coldly. She reached out and touched the alloy bars in front of her. With her strength, normal bars couldn't stop her. However, as soon as her fingers touched the fence, a strong electric current instantly surged into her body, causing her arm to fly out. Cheng Yi let out a muffled groan, and her whole body fell on her back. Jiaolong turned to the isolation room and laughed. Cheng Yi, don't waste your strength. There's over 10,000 volts of electricity on top of the bars. You're lucky this time, I only touched your fingertip lightly. If you'd grabbed it, I wouldn't have been able to save you. Cheng Yi's entire arm was numb from the electricity, and half of her body had fallen into a strong numbness. She struggled to sit up and said with a sneer, "What's the use of capturing me? Lin Bro will find me soon and save me. When that happens, none of you will be able to escape." "Haha, you're using that idiot Lin Yi to threaten me? You've got some guts." Zhaolong stood up and walked to the bars, looking down at Cheng Yi. "If Lin Yi wants to save you, he'll have to find you first. Of course, I'll give him a chance. As long as he gives me the Miracle Doctor Medicine Group's formula, I won't mind letting him find you. Don't even think about it. I have nothing to do with Lin Yi. You think you can use me to threaten him?" Cheng Yi was glad that she didn't have the chance to confess to Lin Yi. At least now, she and Lin Yi were just normal friends. She shouldn't be used to threaten Lin Yi. Zhaolong paused. This was something he cared about. He wanted to capture Shu Shahan or Sun Jingyi. These were the two people Lin Yi cared about. Unfortunately, he didn't manage to capture any of them. They're all useless. I can't even capture the key person. Zhaolong muttered in dissatisfaction. "What did you say? Do you want to die?" Chen Dongcheng said coldly. He was a profound ascension stage cultivator. No matter how softly Zhaolong spoke, it couldn't escape his ears. If it was Kang Zhaoming here, Chen Dongcheng might have some concerns. After all, he was an important member of Sky-class Island, but Kang Zhaolong was nothing. He wasn't even a cultivator and didn't have any special abilities. If they really killed him, the center probably wouldn't do anything to Chen Dongcheng. Zhaolong shivered slightly. He wasn't an idiot, and he knew that he couldn't afford to offend these two masters. He laughed dryly to cover it up and turned to Cheng Yi. "You better pray that Lin Yi comes to exchange for you. If he doesn't, then you're useless. We'll just use you for human experiments. Of course, it's not right to say that you're useless. You're an international superstar, after all. Before the human experiments, I can have a taste of a superstar like you and see how you taste different from other women." Cheng Yi's expression changed slightly, but she didn't say anything. After all, it was useless to say anything. Chen Dongcheng looked at Zhaolong with more and more disdain. Although he wasn't a good person in the past, he couldn't stand Zhaolong's shamelessness anymore. If he really had the chance to follow Lin Yi, he could give this trash's head to Lin Yi as a small gift. Shui Jianfeng said faintly, "Don't talk nonsense. I know Lin Yi. He looks kind and righteous on the surface, but he'll protect anyone who's related to him. Even if this Cheng Yi isn't Lin Yi's woman, as long as she's his friend, Lin Yi won't leave her alone. Go back first and wait for Lin Yi to come." Zhaolong glared at Cheng Yi and turned back with a smile. "Master Shui's right. Lin Yi's just a hypocrite who likes to put on an act. This means that the plan this time is a success." Chen Dongcheng's eyes lit up when he heard Shui Jianfeng's words. He didn't think that Lin Yi was such a protective person. Anyone who followed him wouldn't be at a disadvantage. In other words, switching to Lin Yi was more of a good thing than a bad thing. Unknowingly, the balance in Chen Dongcheng's heart tilted towards Lin Yi's direction. If he got the chance, he might just go to Lin Yi's side. Lin Yi flew around Lanmi a few times. His divine sense searched the whole city inch by inch, but he still couldn't find anything. He could only return to the stadium helplessly. During this time, all the audience was evacuated, but the entire stadium was locked down. Cheng Yi's sudden disappearance from the concert was definitely a big incident in this city. If it weren't for the huge number of people, the police wouldn't even allow anyone to leave first. Shu Shahan and the others were naturally still in the stadium. They just returned to the backstage. Languja protected everyone meticulously and was ready to make a move at any time. When Lin Yi appeared alone, Shu Shahan showed an obvious disappointed expression. Even the omnipotent Lin Yi couldn't find Cheng Yi. Didn't that mean that Cheng Yi was dead? "Boss, didn't you find out?" Languja asked with a rare serious expression. The other party was able to capture someone under his and Lin Yi's eyes. This was indeed very powerful. At the same time, it made Languja lose face. Lin Yi shook his head. "No. But even if we didn't find out, it's still a discovery. From this situation, The only possibility is that the Central Command Center captured Cheng Yi. Since they captured her, they must have a purpose. When the time comes, they will definitely contact me. So don't worry, Cheng Yi is still safe for now. Hearing Lin Yi's words, Xu Shahan was slightly relieved. But Cheng Yi falling into the hands of Lin Yi's enemies wasn't a happy thing. They must save her as soon as possible. Unfortunately, there was no clue. They could only wait for the Central Command Center to contact Lin Yi. Chapter 5722. The UFO didn't slow down until it was more than 1,000 meters deep into the sea, slowly gliding towards a trench. When the UFO got closer, the dark trench suddenly lit up with starry lights, and the trench slowly opened up to two sides, revealing a huge metal platform. The UFO landed smoothly on one of the platforms according to the lights and entered the platform. Jiaolong, who was in the UFO, couldn't help but exclaim, "There's a base like this at the bottom of the high seas. It's too shocking. It feels like I'm watching a sci-fi movie. With this kind of power, it'd be easy for the center to rule the world, right?" Chen Dongcheng said in disdain, "Don't be surprised." In fact, it was his first time here, and he was equally shocked. However, there wasn't much technology in the ancient Jianghu, so a mobile phone and a base like this didn't make much difference to him. He thought that since there was such an incredible device like a mobile phone, there was nothing to be surprised about. At most, it would be many times bigger than a mobile phone. After the seawater in the elevator was emptied, the sound of a door opening came from the UFO. Xue Jianfeng pressed a button and signaled the two to bring Cheng Yi down. Walking out of the elevator, the glasses doctor was waiting at the door. He ignored Xue Jianfeng and the others and said to Cheng Yi politely, "Miss Cheng, I've heard a lot about you. Your voice is very beautiful, and I've never had the chance to hear you sing live. This time, I've finally invited you as a guest. This is the Sacred Center. Welcome, Miss Cheng." Cheng Yi snorted and didn't pay attention to this guy in glasses at all. No matter how she looked at him, he was a pervert. Why bother with him? If it weren't for the fact that all the meridians in her body were sealed by Xue Jianfeng's pure qi, Cheng Yi might have killed this guy directly. He seemed to be the leader of this group, and also the leader of Lin Yi's enemies. Killing him should be of great help to Lin Yi, right? Miss Cheng doesn't seem to be very happy. It doesn't matter. I will arrange for someone to take Miss Cheng to visit our central sacred region first. I believe you will like it here very soon. The doctor smiled nonchalantly and gave an order to his follower to bring Chen Dongcheng and Jiaolong around the sacred base, while he brought Xue Jianfeng in another direction. Obviously, in the bespectacled doctor's heart, Xue Jianfeng's position was higher than Chen Dongcheng's. This also made Chen Dongcheng, who had left, lean towards Lin Yi. Xue Jianfeng didn't ask anything, instead silently following behind the bespectacled doctor. After walking through a long alloy tunnel filled with a sci-fi atmosphere, the bespectacled doctor finally stopped in front of a door. After taking off his glasses, countless rays of light moved from the top of his head all the way to the tip of his toes. A three-dimensional projection appeared on the door, comparing the face, skeleton, iris, and other aspects. After confirming that there was no mistake, the door silently slid open. "Come in." The bespectacled doctor put his glasses back on and said faintly without turning his head. Xue Jianfeng nodded silently and followed in. The room was like a small screening hall. In front of a huge screen, there was a long curved table made of alloy. There were 7 chairs on the side facing the screen. At this time, a young woman was sitting on the chair in the middle. The bespectacled doctor walked to the woman and bowed slightly. "Miss Lan, the person has been captured. What should we do next?" Lan Xiaoru's fingers moved quickly on the table a few times, and the huge screen was instantly divided into hundreds of small screens, showing the important passages of the sacred region in the center. Among them was the scene of Cheng Yi, Chen Dongcheng, and Kang Jiaolong. Lan Xiaoru nodded. "Cheng Yi, she's a good bait. How's the development of the new medicine? We've already made a sample. If Miss Lan agrees, why don't we let Xue Jianfeng test the effects of the injection?" The bespectacled doctor didn't care that Xue Jianfeng was behind him. He spoke as if Xue Jianfeng was a normal lab rat. Xue Jianfeng was furious, but if it could increase his strength, then so be it. There was no need to be so calculative. Lan Xiaoru turned to Xue Jianfeng and said faintly, Xue Jianfeng, you're an elite that the Central is focusing on nurturing. Every time there's a new medicine that can increase your strength, we'll give it to you first. You have to know that the materials to make these medicines are very rare, and the production is very limited. If you're not willing, you can tell us. We'll consider changing people to test it. Of course, we won't give you priority when it comes to medicine in the future. Xue Jianfeng was slightly startled. Although it was still the same meaning, Lan Xiaoru seemed to say it more pleasing to the ear. Even if there was a threatening tone, Xue Jianfeng could accept it. Miss Lan, please let me use the medicine. I believe that I can handle any new product. Xue Jianfeng was very straightforward. If he couldn't increase his strength, then he would never be able to surpass Lin Yi. This was something he absolutely couldn't accept. Lin Yi was Xue Jianfeng's greatest enemy. Xue Jianfeng had always wanted to kill Lin Yi. Unfortunately, no matter how hard he tried, he was suppressed by Lin Yi in all aspects. This made him thirst for strength even more. Even if he had to bear a certain risk, he wouldn't hesitate. Lan Xiaoru didn't know what Xue Jianfeng was thinking. After hearing the answer she wanted, she nodded in satisfaction and said, very good. As long as you're willing to cooperate, you'll always be an elite that we focus on nurturing. I called you here to talk about this. You can leave first. After I discuss with the bespectacled doctor, I'll inject you with the new medicine. Xue Jianfeng bowed slightly and agreed respectfully. Then, he turned and left the room. After the room door closed, Lan Xiaoru said to the bespectacled doctor, how's the effect of the new medicine? She didn't care about the indicators like safety. The most important thing was the effect. Chapter 57:23. Lan Xiaoru shook her head and said, there's no time. Let's try it first. I've contacted the main body on Heavenly Island. He said that Lin Yi's spirit was projected over this time. His physical body has no signs of damage after such a long time, which means that his spirit didn't affect his physical body too much. The doctor in glasses raised his head slightly and looked at Lan Xiaoru. You mean to deal with Lin Yi's spirit with all our strength? Of course. Otherwise, do you think I would agree to you guys taking hostages? This kind of retarded blackmail plan is simply an insult to my intelligence. But it's a good choice to use as bait. The doctor in glasses calculated in his mind and felt that this plan was completely feasible. The only thing he needed to worry about was the reaction from the higher-ups. Won't killing Lin Yi's spirit cause an accident from the higher-ups? You have to know that this is different from the previous plan, the doctor in glasses said with some worry. He didn't have the guts to openly disobey the orders from the higher-ups. Lan Xiaoru's fingers gently tapped on the metal table, making a soft sound. Then she said with a smile, the main body said that as long as Lin Yi's physical body doesn't die, there won't be any problems. Since it has been proven that the separation of the spirit won't affect his physical body, then we can take the opportunity to kill Lin Yi's spirit. This is the best opportunity. Anyway, if something happens to his spirit, he can only blame his bad luck. As long as his physical body is alive, we can explain to the higher-ups. In that case, we can give it a try. The doctor in glasses finally nodded in agreement. After all, Lin Yi had given him too much pressure recently. If he could get rid of Lin Yi, it would also be a good thing for him. It's not a try, it must succeed. Lin Yi's growth rate is beyond our imagination. If this continues, he will become a big problem for us sooner or later. A trace of ruthlessness appeared on Lan Xiaoru's face. When the doctor in glasses saw this, he felt a slight chill in his heart. Understood, I'll call Lin Yi now and ask him to come over. Miss Lan, have you thought about how to deal with him? The doctor in glasses took out his phone and asked worriedly. Lan Xiaoru waved her hand and said, do what you need to do first, I will make arrangements for the rest. The bespectacled doctor nodded slightly and did not dare to ask any more questions. He immediately dialed Lin Yi's number. Lin Yi, if you want to save Cheng Yi, then make sure that all the formulas of the Godly Doctor Medical Group are ready, and then wait for my call to exchange them. If you don't agree, prepare to collect Cheng Yi's body. After the glasses doctor finished speaking quickly, He hung up the phone directly without waiting for Lin Yi to answer. Lan Xiaoru furrowed her brows and said, "Are you sure it's Lin Yi?" The bespectacled doctor was stunned. He looked at the phone and said, "There's no mistake. This is Lin Yi's number. It's the latest." Did he speak? What if the person who answered the phone wasn't him? Lan Xiaoru continued to ask. The bespectacled doctor was speechless. After a moment of silence, the bespectacled doctor picked up his phone and said, "Let me confirm." After dialing again, the bespectacled doctor pretended to be indifferent and asked, "Are you Lin Yi?" "It's me." Lin Yi's voice came from the other side, which made the bespectacled doctor heave a sigh of relief. "Do you understand what I said just now?" It seemed too awkward to hang up just like that, so the bespectacled doctor could only ask casually, "I understand. Where is the transaction?" Lin Yi was still extremely calm. "Wait for my call." The bespectacled doctor hung up again, then said to Lan Xiaoru, "It's Lin Yi." After saying that, he suddenly felt like he was acting like an idiot, and it immediately triggered a serious embarrassment. He could only cough and say, "I will go and inject the medicine into Shui Jianfeng first. Let me know if there's any news." Then, he turned around and left. When Lin Yi heard the busy tone from the phone again, he couldn't help but frown slightly. He didn't know who had contacted him just now. It should be the center, but was it really okay for the center to use such idiots to do things? How did they develop and become so strong? "Boss, is there any news about Yi?" Kang Xiaobo saw Lin Yi put down his phone, so he quickly asked with concern. "Sort of. The other party should be the center. This time, their target is the Miracle Dr. Guan Medical Group's formula, and they want me to use the formula to exchange for Yi." Lin Yi looked at Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi, and he didn't intend to hide it. Fortunately, Kelman and Learman were taken away by the Buffon family. Otherwise, if they just signed the contract with them and had to give the formula to someone else, even if they had a good relationship with them, it wouldn't be easy to ask for it. Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi didn't care. After all, this company originally belonged to Lin Yi. Although they had put in all their effort in order to save people, they couldn't care so much. "Boss, if that's the case, then let's prepare first. No matter what, Yi's safety is the most important." Kang Xiaobo and Lai Changyi looked at each other and immediately expressed their stance. Lin Yi nodded and said, "I'll see how the situation goes. Let's prepare the things first." Actually, there wasn't much to prepare for these things. Lin Yi was the one who came up with it, so who would know better than him? It was just that Kang Xiaobo and the others were in charge of the company now, and Lin Yi didn't interfere at all, so they still needed to go through this formality. Very quickly, Kang Xiaobo prepared the formula and passed it to Lin Yi, and then they began to wait for the center's call. The center didn't let them wait for too long, and very quickly, they called again, "Lin Yi, find a boat by the sea yourself, and sail it near the international waters. We will contact you when the time comes for the specific location. Remember, you can only come alone. If anyone follows you, you will have to collect Cheng Yi's body." Lin Yi said coldly, "I understand, you guys wait." This time, Lin Yi originally planned to go alone, and the other party's request was exactly what he wanted. Of course, if Languja went with him as a sea dragon, he could still unleash his greatest power in the sea, but Lin Yi still needed Languja to stay behind to protect Xu Shahan and Sun Jingyi. Compared to that, this mission was more important. After putting away the phone, Lin Yi didn't wait for the others to ask and directly said to Languja, "Languja, you stay behind to protect them, I will go alone to save Yi. Don't worry, in this world, there is no one or thing that can threaten me." Sun Jingyi and Xu Shahan were a bit worried at first, but after hearing Lin Yi's domineering words, they chose to stay silent. After a few words, Lin Yi transformed into his primordial spirit state and directly flew to the sea. Chapter 57-24. Very good, you didn't play any tricks, did you? Now drive straight to the east, I will inform you when the time comes. Lin Yi didn't find anything with his divine sense. The other party should be observing him through the satellite, right? If that was the case, then Lin Yi really didn't have any other way. Following the other party's instructions, he kept driving east, and after half an hour, he was asked to keep driving south, then west, and then north again. This was directly going around in a circle back to the original point. Knowing that the center was making him go around in circles, Lin Yi didn't take it to heart. These child's tricks were all within his expectations. You're almost out of gas, right? 10 nautical miles south, there is a mobile refueling ship on the sea. You can go there and refuel. The center was quite considerate, calculating that Lin Yi's gas was almost out, and even pointed him to refuel. Lin Yi said coldly, "How long do I have to walk on the sea? When can I trade?" "Hihi, you're out of patience. Don't worry, go refuel first." After the other party finished speaking, he hung up the phone, and Lin Yi could only go refuel first. In the central holy region at the bottom of the sea, Lan Xiaoru didn't come up with a feasible plan to deal with Lin Yi, because no matter how she thought, in the end, it seemed that there was no way to kill Lin Yi's primordial spirit. Letting Lin Yi take a walk on the sea at the beginning was really to wear down Lin Yi's patience and drive, but in the end, it became something that had no choice, because the action plan against Lin Yi couldn't be established. "How's Xue Jianfeng's condition?" Lan Xiaoru contacted the laboratory and asked. Xue Jianfeng was the strongest means that could threaten Lin Yi now. If Xue Jianfeng could succeed, then they would have more confidence in dealing with Lin Yi. The bespectacled doctor shook his head and said, "There are no side effects from the injection, but the effect is worse than expected, less than 1/10 of the original estimate. Although it can heal itself, the speed is quite slow, and it can't play a decisive role in a battle." "What is going on? What is the problem?" Lan Xiaoru resisted the urge to roar in anger. It was such a good plan, but the execution was full of loopholes. She was about to go crazy. "I've asked Zhaolong to take a look. Perhaps there's something wrong with Dr. Kang's formula." Zhaolong knocked on the door just as the doctor finished speaking. Zhaolong nodded after taking a closer look. "This recipe has been altered. It's not the original recipe of House Kang. Change it back immediately and continue the experiment." After Lan Xiaoru finished speaking, she forcefully cut off the video communication, rubbed her forehead and sat down. It seemed that Lin Yi's stroll on the sea would have to continue. However, Lin Yi had a lot of patience. It didn't matter if he spent a little more time. He would just take it as watching the scenery. While Lin Yi was cruising on the sea, Dr. Glasses had begun the development of a new potion. Lin Yi did not make many changes. After all, it was impossible for him to make changes in the wrong direction. The technicians in the center were not fools. They might not be able to tell if the potion was weak, but if there was a problem, they wouldn't use it directly. So, the doctor's previous efforts were not in vain. He only made some minor adjustments to the original potion, and it became a new reagent. The materials needed for the potion were precious, but there were spares in the warehouse. In less than half an hour, the new potion was ready. Xue Jianfeng, the previous potion had some flaws, but it should be fine this time. When your genes completely fuse with the potion, you'll be able to recover from the damage you received in battle. That way, you'll have an immortal body. The doctor was afraid that Xue Jianfeng would have other thoughts, so he comforted him with a rare smile. Hearing the words immortal body excited Xue Jianfeng. This was the best chance for him to suppress Lin Yi. Of course, he wouldn't give it up. He nodded firmly. "Doctor, give me the injection. I'm ready." The doctor nodded with satisfaction and didn't say anything else. He directly pushed the potion in the syringe into Xue Jianfeng's arm. Xue Jianfeng wasn't worried at all because the first injection didn't have any adverse reactions, which meant that the safety of the potion was still very high. In particular, the healing speed of the wound was indeed several times faster than before. So, Xue Jianfeng wasn't worried about the second injection, but he was looking forward to it. After the potion completely entered Xue Jianfeng's body, there was no abnormality at first. After about 10 seconds, Xue Jianfeng suddenly twitched violently. Then, his head tilted, and he passed out completely. The doctor was shocked. Xue Jianfeng was now not only a qualified test subject, but he was also the strongest trump card they used to deal with Lin Yi. If something went wrong now, Lan Xiaoru probably wouldn't forgive him. "Hurry up and report the status. What's going on?" The doctor rushed forward. While checking Xue Jianfeng's physical condition, he shouted orders to the assistants around him. The assistants didn't wait for the doctor to finish and had already started working. After all, this kind of situation often happened in the laboratory. They didn't know the importance of Shui Jianfeng, so they weren't as nervous as the doctor. Heartbeat data is normal, blood pressure is normal, cell activity has increased by 800%, and it's still increasing. Thinking curve is smooth, and he's in a deep coma. An assistant quickly summarized the various indicators to the doctor, so that he could grasp Shui Jianfeng's real-time situation immediately. The doctor was instantly relieved. After a careful check, he straightened his back and said, "It's okay. He should be in the process of gene fusion, which is why this happened. He'll probably wake up soon. You guys observe him closely, and report to me immediately if there's any abnormality." "Yes, doctor." The assistants answered in unison and then continued with the work they were doing. The doctor wiped the sweat off his forehead and then connected to Lan Shuru's video call. "Miss Lan, the new potion has been successfully developed. It's been injected into Shui Jianfeng. Initially, it seems that the situation is still relatively stable, but we can only be sure after Shui Jianfeng wakes up." Chapter 57-25. "Okay, I'll inform them right away." The doctor didn't waste any time and called Dafeng Bro after he cut off the communication with Lan Xiaoru. He was together with Chen Dongcheng and Zhaolong, so he informed them as well. 3 minutes later, everyone was gathered in the meeting room. Lan Xiaoru went straight to the point. Everyone here can be considered the backbone of our center. Right now, we need to get rid of Lin Yi, a troublesome enemy. You're all familiar with him, and I want to know if anyone can provide any effective methods." They all looked at each other and didn't speak for a while. If Lin Yi was easy to deal with, he would have died hundreds of times already. Why would they need to discuss this? Plus, Dafeng Bro was Lin Yi's spy, and Chen Dongcheng was starting to side with Lin Yi. Even if he thought of something, he wouldn't say it easily. As for Zhaolong, he and Lin Yi were people from two different worlds. The difference was too big, and he didn't dare to say anything even if he wanted to. Lan Xiaoru waited for more than a minute, and seeing that no one was willing to speak, she pointed at Chen Dongcheng. "Old Chen, you're close to Lin Yi in terms of strength, and you've dealt with him the most. You should be the one who understands Lin Yi the most. You go first." Chen Dongcheng scratched the back of his head and pretended to be dumb. "I don't know. Every time I meet Lin Yi, I'm always the one at a disadvantage, and Lin Yi never looks like he's serious. So, if we're talking about understanding, I'm about the same as everyone else." Lan Xiaoru froze. What he said made sense, but Chen Dongcheng said that he was useless in front of his superior. It seemed like he didn't care about his superior's feelings at all. Putting a piece of trash in an important position meant that there was something wrong with his superior's judgment. The doctor coughed and changed the topic. "Miss Lan, Lin Yi is only a primordial spirit now, not his real body, so his combat strength is definitely not as strong as his real body. We'll think of a way slowly, and we'll be able to find his weakness eventually. Unfortunately, we don't have much time to slowly think of a solution." Lan Xiaoru snorted. She couldn't keep leaving Lin Yi to go in circles on the sea. If Lin Yi lost his patience and went straight back to Heaven Stage Island, wouldn't all her plans be for naught? "That. Miss Lan, Dr. Glasses. Can I say something?" Zhaolong asked weakly, raising his hand. He was a dispensable existence here, and no one cared about him. Even if he wanted to speak, he had to ask for Xiaoru's permission first. Lan Xiaoru glanced at Zhaolong and waved her hand casually. "Speak." Zhaolong was suddenly excited. He pinched the knot of his tie and coughed lightly. "It's like this, my cousin Kang Mingming, Miss Lan, you know him. He's a refiner, and I seem to have heard him mention that a normal primordial spirit is very afraid of refining fire. Since the doctor said that Lin Yi is now a primordial spirit, then can we start from this aspect? Maybe we'll be able to get rid of this annoying bastard." The doctor nodded. "That's a good idea. Using refining fire to deal with primordial spirits is the most suitable, but there doesn't seem to be any refiners in the base, so we can't deal with Lin Yi in a short time. Maybe we can use artificial fire to replace it." Chen Dongcheng suddenly objected. "I don't think that's a good idea. Lin Yi is an elixir refiner himself, and many people know that he has used elixir fire many times in the small world of the immemorial era. If he was really afraid of elixir fire, why would he still use it? Dafeng Bro seized the opportunity and quickly added, yes, we only have one chance, and we can't be careless. If refining fire doesn't pose a threat to Lin Yi, we'll be in big trouble here, so we must be careful. Lan Xiaoru nodded, you're all right, but this is indeed a feasible method. Dr. Glasses, refining fire may not be of much use to Lin Yi, but you can use the characteristics of refining fire to develop artificial fire, and it might have a miraculous effect. Miss Lan is so wise. But since Lin Yi is so powerful, I think that since we're going to develop artificial fire, we might as well develop a super fire, in case it's not powerful enough and Lin Yi escapes. Jiaolong flattered Lan Xiaoru a little, and then put forward his own idea. He was the same as Kang Ming, wishing that Lin Yi would die quickly. Since there was such an opportunity, of course, he would use it as viciously as possible. Lan Xiaoru immediately made the decision, that's settled, Dr. Glasses, I'll leave this matter to you. Before Shui Jianfeng wakes up, we must develop the super fire. Lin Yi's patience is probably wearing thin. Okay, I'll do it right away. The doctor agreed without hesitation, and then got up and went back to the lab without saying goodbye. Although the super fire was a little difficult, it was much easier than making medicine. The doctor had a plan in mind, and when he went out, a simple design had already been formed. The corner of Chen Dongqing's mouth twitched, thinking to himself, Lin Yi, I can only help you up to this point. If you die in their hands, I won't have to make a choice. As for the calm Dafeng Bro, he was actually very anxious. If he could contact Lin Yi, he would risk his life to inform Lin Yi. Unfortunately, in this base, Dafeng Bro had no way of contacting Lin Yi. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was still going for a spin on the sea, but he wasn't that stupid. He wasn't going to do anything and let the people in the center toy with him. After 2 laps, Lin Yi realized that no matter where he went, he was always going in a circle or a square, not deviating from his course at all. What was the intention of the center doing this? Or, the location of the center's base was actually nearby? With this speculation, Lin Yi simply concentrated his divine sense in one direction. In this way, the accuracy and linear detection length were far from comparable to the previous range detection. Unfortunately, Lin Yi didn't find anything even after scanning the area in 4 different directions. Could it be some divine sense shielding prop? If that's the case, it should also be able to find the blank spots in the divine sense, right? Lin Yi murmured in doubt, and suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration. At the bottom of the sea. Chapter 57-26. With this idea in mind, Lin Yi immediately shifted his divine sense to the bottom of the sea. After a while, he really found the central sanctuary hidden under the trench. It's really at the bottom of the sea. They're really well hidden. If it weren't for my powerful divine sense, I might not have been able to find them, Lin Yi said with a sneer. He was already thinking about how to sneak into the trench without anyone noticing. Now, Lin Yi was sure that the center must be using satellite positioning to observe him. Once Lin Yi left the yacht, he would be discovered by the center immediately. If he wanted to sneak into the bottom of the sea without alerting the other party, he had to deceive the satellite in the sky. Although Lin Yi was powerful, he had no way of destroying the satellite in space at the moment. Third Cloud Dragon Appearance. Lin Yi only needed a little thought to find a way. The Third Cloud Dragon Appearance was originally a martial arts technique of the Green Cloud sect. It could allow people to continuously move in the air without the help of external forces. At the same time, it would leave behind a phantom image that was enough to pass off as the real thing. In the current situation, Lin Yi did not need the complete Third Cloud Dragon Appearance. He only needed to leave a phantom image to mislead the satellite. Moreover, it did not need too much time. It was enough for him to enter the underwater base. Copying and modifying martial arts techniques was a piece of cake for Lin Yi. What's more, the Third Cloud Dragon Appearance was originally something of the Green Cloud sect. Lin Yi completed the modification in a breath's time. After setting the yacht to autopilot, Lin Yi directly launched the modified version of the Third Cloud Dragon Appearance. A realistic phantom image sat in the cockpit, while his real body entered the sea through displacement. To enter the central sanctuary, one had to dive more than a kilometer. For ordinary people, they would have been crushed by the terrifying water pressure. However, Lin Yi did not care at all. The moment he entered the water, he transformed into the primordial spirit state and completely ignored the resistance of the sea. The phantom image on the yacht would dissipate in a few minutes. Lin Yi had to approach the central sanctuary and enter it during this time. Fortunately, the primordial spirit state was extremely fast. In less than a minute, it had already appeared above the central sanctuary. It's Lin Yi. The central sanctuary's alarm system suddenly issued a sharp alarm, and a guy on duty in the monitoring room actually discovered Lin Yi's figure. If he had been a few minutes later, the base would have been infiltrated by Lin Yi. At the same time as the alarm sounded, a transparent protective film appeared above the trench. Lin Yi wanted to use his primordial spirit to pass through the protective armor, but it was a little too late. He hit the protective film and was bounced back. What is it? Even my soul can't pass through it. But it doesn't matter. Since the infiltration has failed, I'll just attack them head-on. Lin Yi's face turned cold. He flipped his palms, and in the center of his palms were two perfect super pill firebombs. Boom! Boom! Two huge explosions in a row caused the entire seabed to be involved in a huge whirlpool of water and fire. Lin Yi did not dare to get too close to this place. After throwing out the super pill firebombs, he turned into a primordial spirit and quickly retreated several nautical miles. The violent explosion at a depth of a kilometer formed a huge wave on the surface of the sea. It took a few minutes before it gradually subsided. The yacht that Lin Yi had been on was directly overturned and directly turned into floating debris in the sea. When the aftermath of the explosion subsided slightly, Lin Yi appeared above the trench again. However, what made him helpless was that the protective film was still undamaged under the attack of the two super pill firebombs. It was indeed a high-tech thing that could block Lin Yi's primordial spirit state. The strength of its defense was simply incredible. Since Lin Yi had developed the super pill firebomb, this was the first time he had returned without success. Back in the endless sea of the ancient Jianghu, a super pill firebomb could kill a large number of sea monsters in second. Ha 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 ha, too awesome. Dr. Glasses, this base of yours is too awesome. Lin Yi, that pretentious head, has become an idiot this time. Jiaolong saw this scene on the monitor, and his originally frightened emotions immediately turned into excitement. He couldn't help but laugh and dance, looking completely crazy. Glasses also laughed dryly a few times. To be honest, Lin Yi's attack really scared him. This protective film was his proudest work, but just now Lin Yi had almost reached the limit of the protective film. The power output in that instant was no less than the explosion of two hydrogen bombs. Lan Xiaoru also came to the Glasses lab and asked with a serious expression, "Dr. Glasses, how is the research on the super pill firebomb?" Chen Dongcheng and the others all looked at the Glasses. This was the question they were most concerned about. Of course, everyone's mood was different. Jiaolong definitely wanted to attack immediately and kill Lin Yi directly. Dafeng Bro, on the other hand, was the exact opposite. As for Chen Dongcheng, it was a bit complicated. He didn't know which one was more hopeful. The bespectacled doctor's hands moved back and forth on the control panel rapidly, even leaving a series of after-images behind. However, it was not a problem for him to multitask, so he could still find the time to reply, "Almost there. It'll be done in less than 2 or 3 minutes." He paused for a moment. "If our protective film can last for another 2 or 3 minutes, Jiaolong, who had been laughing non-stop, froze. He thought that the protective film wouldn't have any problems, but from the looks of it, it wouldn't last more than 2 or 3 minutes. Chen Dongcheng looked at the monitor, agreeing with the Glasses' deduction. He didn't know where the limit of the protective film was, but he could sense that the attack just now had shaken the film. Now that Lin Yi had put his hands together and condensed a super pill firebomb that was bigger than the previous two combined, it was hard to say whether or not it would break through the protective fill. Lan Xiaoru narrowed her eyes and ordered, "Send all the instantaneous energy into the protective film. We can't let Lin Yi in so easily." The so-called instantaneous energy was all the energy in a short period of time to supply the protective film. If it was used like this for a long time, The oxygen supply system in the base would be paralyzed, so it couldn't be used like this all the time. Chapter 57:27. Execute the order. Lan Xiaoru completely ignored Big Brother Dafeng and shouted in a deep voice. The bespectacled doctor did not hesitate and immediately completed the input of the order. In an instant, the entire base fell into complete darkness. Only the outer layer of defense shone brightly. At the same time, Lin Yi's super alchemic fire bomb descended again. It was even louder than the previous 2 super alchemic fire bombs. The raging fire even burned up all the seawater in this area in an instant. The blazing light was like a new sun being born in the dark seabed. The entire terrain of the trench was flattened by the aftermath of this terrifying explosion, completely revealing the huge metal monster in the center of the sacred zone. The layer of defense trembled violently as if it would shatter at any time. However, after a while, this fluctuation and trembling slowly subsided. Lin Yi, who had retreated to a distance again, had an ugly expression on his face. His divine sense could observe that the layer of defense was almost at its limit, but it still managed to withstand it. If the power of the super alchemic firebomb was a little stronger, it might have been successfully broken. Unfortunately, no matter how powerful the super alchemic firebomb was, it was difficult for Lin Yi to control it. Once it was thrown out, it might not be able to retreat in time. Lin Yi himself would also be pulled into the vortex of the explosion. That would really be courting death. Miss Lan is really wise. If it weren't for your prompt decision, this layer of defense would definitely have been destroyed. After the energy supply of the base was restored, the bespectacled doctor quickly input a series of complex instructions again. He did not forget to compliment Lan Xiaoru. This time, we should be able to buy more time. You should speed up the progress. I don't think Lin Yi will give up just like that. Lan Xiaoru did not have the slightest smile on her face. From the recovered monitoring, she could see that he was rushing over like lightning again. The consumption of the defensive layer needed time to replenish. Even if it was only for a few seconds, it was still a blank period. Lan Xiaoru naturally knew this weakness very well. The first time, because of the aftermath of the 2 super pill firebombs, Lin Yi chose to watch from afar and condense a new and more powerful super pill firebomb. But this time, Lin Yi did not continue to wait. In the blink of an eye, Lin Yi passed through the aftermath of the explosion and appeared above the central sanctuary defense layer. The modified version of the Cloud Dragon's third appearance allowed him to move like a ghost. He moved 3 times in a row, avoiding most of the remaining explosive power, and arrived at the place he wanted to go almost unscathed. The murderous aura of the 5 elements transformed into a flood dragon, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as it let out a silent roar. It directly engulfed the seawater within it, and like a falling meteorite, it struck the defensive layer. There was a huge tremor. Circles of ripples spread out in an instant, and Lin Yi's body was also bounced back, but his attack was effective. Traces of cracks began to appear on the defensive layer where the 5 elements flood dragon struck, and then faster and faster, and in just a breath's time, the cracks had spread to the entire defensive layer. How is this possible? Isn't this an energy-converted defensive layer? Why are there cracks that look like they're real? Lan Xiaoru looked at all this on the monitoring screen in shock, and could not help but exclaim. The bespectacled doctor did not raise his head, and his fingers were moving so fast that they were almost broken. Even so, he still had time to answer. Those cracks are not real cracks, but formed by Lin Yi's true qi. The confrontation between the 2 kinds of energy produced this kind of phenomenon that looks like it's real. Miss Lan, you don't have to worry about it. Hurry up and get your super flame out. Lan Xiaoru could not help but yell. At this time, he was still in the mood to talk instead of getting down to business. The bespectacled doctor also smiled bitterly to himself. He did not slack off at all. It was really hard to have a female boss. When Lan Xiaoru finished this sentence, the entire defensive layer collapsed, turning into spots of white light in the dark seawater, floating and swaying, and disappearing without a trace. Lin Yi, who was bounced back, did not hesitate. His figure moved, and he rushed to the center of the Holy Land again. Since he had been discovered by the other party, Lin Yi could only enter as quickly as possible and rescue Cheng Yi. Otherwise, When the people inside reacted, Lin Yi would be too passive. All right. The bespectacled doctor pressed the last enter key, and his fingers trembled violently. He did not feel it when he was in the state of overload just now, but now that he had stopped, the side effects became apparent. However, compared to the completion of the mission, such a trivial matter did not need to be concerned at all. In the surveillance screen, as soon as Lin Yi approached the alloy armor, a layer of blazing white flame suddenly rose, directly evaporating the seawater in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi, who was rushing forward, saw the jade pendant wildly vibrating in his mind, causing Lin Yi to turn around and fly back. The third appearance of the cloud dragon once again helped Lin Yi avoid a disaster. After a series of flashes and displacements, he finally escaped from the danger perception area. Amazing! What kind of flame is this? Lin Yi could not help but feel a lingering fear. His primordial spirit body had only felt a trace of heat from the flame, and it was already aching, as if it was about to melt. If he was caught in the flame head-on, even if Lin Yi's primordial spirit body could use alchemic fire, he would definitely not be able to resist it for even a second. It worked. The bespectacled doctor jumped up abruptly. The fact that Lin Yi was forced back meant that his research was correct. This super flame was enough to threaten Lin Yi's life. What the hell? Lan Xiaoru slammed her palm on the alloy table as the bespectacled doctor jumped up. I can't believe he got away. If I was just a fraction of a second later, I would have been able to catch this cunning bastard. Jiaolong clenched his fist, wanting to cheer along with the bespectacled doctor, and smashed his other fist downwards, wanting to express the same regret as Lan Xiaoru. He felt like he was being torn apart, but he failed to express either of those feelings. He froze there, looking very funny. But no one here had time to bother with him. The bespectacled doctor recovered his fingers and started working on the control panel again. The entire sacred base was very big, and the super flame couldn't cover it all. That would consume too much energy, and he wouldn't be able to last long. The bespectacled doctor had no choice but to focus on defense and attack, manually controlling where the super flame would appear. This way, he would be able to control the energy consumption to a level that was sufficient to make up for it. Chapter 57-28. The bespectacled doctor continued to control it with both hands. At the same time, he turned his head and smiled bitterly. Miss Lan, the defensive layer just now mobilized all the instantaneous energy, so the base's energy level has not fully recovered. The super flame that was just completed only used basic energy. It's already a very good result to be able to force Lin Yi back. After all, Lan Xiaoru was not an ordinary person. When she heard this, her eyes immediately lit up. You mean that as long as this super flame has enough energy support, it can turn defense into offense and directly attack Lin Yi in the distance? Yes, Miss Lan is indeed wise. However, now our energy is not enough to threaten Lin Yi at this distance, so for the time being, we can only focus on defense and not let Lin Yi attack our base. Take this opportunity to slowly accumulate energy, strive for an explosion, and completely destroy Lin Yi, the bespectacled doctor said with a relaxed expression. When the super flame was completed, he already had this plan in his mind. Now that he said it, he also wanted to show off in front of Lan Xiaoru. Very good. Bespectacled doctor, you must block Lin Yi outside. Now focus. Lan Xiaoru pointed to the monitor screen and said to the bespectacled doctor. Lin Yi tried to rush to the base several times, but no matter where he was, as long as he got close to the alloy armor, the blazing white flame would definitely appear. Fortunately, Lin Yi was prepared and did not suffer any damage. However, these flames really gave Lin Yi a headache. Even the shadow and displacement of the cloud dragon's triple appearance could not avoid the flames, so Lin Yi was really at his wit's end. In fact, it was impossible for the bespectacled doctor to distinguish between the shadow and the real body of Lin Yi's triple appearance, but he did not need to do so at all, because the bespectacled doctor was not a powerful cultivator. As a scientific researcher, he only needed to use the equipment to lock onto the fluctuations of Lin Yi's primordial spirit. The analysis of a supercomputer was sometimes more reliable than an expert. After Lin Yi pulled away, he tried to use the super alchemic firebomb to bomb the alloy armor. Unfortunately, this kind of armor was very strong, and the super alchemic firebomb was burned and assimilated by the super flame, so its power was greatly reduced. When it landed on the center of the Holy Land, it at most left some traces. It could not cause enough damage at all. It seems that the super alchemic firebomb won't work. I have to try other moves. Lin Yi frowned slightly and filtered his moves in his mind. Suddenly, he slapped his forehead and said, "Why did I go so far? I should have used this move." In the deep sea, the power of using a super pill firebomb would be reduced. After all, this boundless seawater would always have an effect on flames. Even if a portion of the seawater was instantly evaporated, it would immediately be replenished. Although the power of the super flame in the center was already great, and it could turn the surrounding seawater into a vacuum every time, it would not be. In the water, he should use martial arts that could make use of water resources, such as thunder and lightning. Because Lin Yi was thousands of meters deep under the sea, he subconsciously felt that thunder and lightning would not appear in such a deep sea, but he forgot that his own thunder and lightning martial arts did not need to descend from the sky. After understanding this, Lin Yi immediately took action. In a flash, he appeared not far away from the center of the Holy Land base. With a point of his finger, a thunder and lightning appeared out of thin air and hit the armor of the base without any hindrance in the water. This time, Dr. Glass's super flame could not react in time. Not everyone could see the trajectory of lightning clearly. In comparison, the attack speed of the super alchemic firebomb was like a snail. Even if Dr. Glasses could see the trajectory of Lin Yi's thunder and lightning, his hand speed could not keep up with the attack speed of the thunder and lightning. With a crackling sound, Lin Yi's thunder and lightning jumped and flickered on the armor, causing the lights in a small area to flicker. It was just a tentative attack, but it had already consumed a lot of the base's energy reserve. Lin Yi was overjoyed. He knew that he had finally found a way to deal with this huge tortoise shell. Lan Xiaoru's expression changed slightly. She hurriedly asked, "How's the energy reserve? Can we attack Lin Yi?" She knew very well that Lin Yi was only testing the base this time. Next, he would launch a large-scale thunder and lightning attack. If she could not counterattack immediately, the energy would only be consumed more and more by him. The bespectacled doctor's forehead was also sweating. He knew the situation of the entire base best, and he naturally knew the consequences of every slight change. Hearing Lan Xiaoru's question, his fingers moved faster and faster, but this time, he didn't even have time to speak. Lan Xiaoru also knew that Dr. Glasses was under a lot of pressure now, so she did not ask any more questions. She walked directly to his side and quickly operated the other control computer. Energy accumulation at 78%. Attack range of 2 kilometers. Hit rate 62%. Kill rate 51%. In the blink of an eye, Lan Xiaoru found the information she wanted to know. Her expression finally looked better. She nodded slightly and said, "More than 50% hit rate and kill rate. We can already take a gamble. Miss Lan, we only have one chance. We must be careful." Brother Dafeng took 2 steps forward and approached Dr. Glasses. He advised with a solemn face, "The hit rate is only 62%. If we can't hit him, then everything will be over. Even if we hit him, the chance of killing Lin Yi is only 50%. It's better to wait a little longer and let the energy accumulate more." Brother Dafeng's thinking was very simple. He just wanted to buy as much time as possible for Lin Yi. Even if he could only buy a few more seconds, it was very likely to affect the overall situation. "Shut up." Lan Xiaoru did not turn her head. She did not have time to care about Brother Dafeng now. After reprimanding him, she quickly opened the attack control interface. With her authority, of course, she could control all the systems of the entire base. Moreover, her control level was not inferior to Dr. Glasses. Of course, Dr. Glasses would not object. With Lan Xiaoru's participation, his burden would be slightly reduced. Moreover, the two of them had been working together for a long time. They had quite a tacit understanding, so there would definitely be no problems. Chapter 57-29. In particular, Lan Xiaoru had mercilessly rejected his 2 suggestions just now, which proved this point. If something happened to Lin Yi, the next one would probably be Brother Dafeng's turn. The Central had always pursued the strategy of killing the wrong person rather than letting them go. The best outcome for him was to be sent as a test subject. At this time, Chen Dongcheng sighed in his heart. To be honest, his heart was now more inclined towards Lin Yi. However, if Lin Yi was finished, he could only continue to follow the Central. It was just that Chen Dongcheng was really a little afraid after seeing the Central's cold methods and stone-hearted methods. He felt that following the Central would not end well in the end. Outside, Lin Yi realized that the lightning attack was effective, so he immediately decided to use his strongest lightning-type martial art, Lightning Barrier. Even though it was thousands of meters deep under the sea, when Lin Yi used Lightning Barrier, it still attracted the clouds in the sky. In an instant, countless dark clouds gathered, and lightning crisscrossed among them, ready to strike at any time. In the Central Sanctuary Laboratory, the bespectacled doctor and Lan Xiuru had turned on the attack control system at the same time and began to lock onto Lin Yi. They could launch a powerful super flame attack at any time. They could even imagine the scene of the blazing white flame beam instantly burning a vacuum waterway and completely annihilating Lin Yi. However, at this moment, Lin Yi smiled coldly. He raised his arm and swung it down, activating his strongest lightning-type martial art, Lightning Barrier. Countless lightning bolts crossed the barrier between the sky and the sea, cutting through the dark deep-sea space at the speed of light, and descended on the entire Central Sanctuary. The bespectacled doctor and Lan Xiuru's fingers had already pressed on the launch button, but the sudden attack of Lightning Barrier caused the entire base's circuits and instruments to instantly malfunction. Whether it could be repaired or not, at least this time, the attack could not be launched in time. Damn it! The bespectacled doctor was paralyzed by the two electric arcs that jumped up from the console. He could only exclaim and take 2 steps back. Brother Da Feng's eyes flashed. Now that the bespectacled doctor was less than half a step away from him, there was no time to think. He had already stretched out his hand, looking like he was going to help the bespectacled doctor. In fact, his palm directly passed through the bespectacled doctor's shoulder and grabbed the bespectacled doctor's throat like a ghost. Boss Lin Yi, Da Feng, can only help you this much. You'll have to rely on yourself in the future. The corners of Brother Da Feng's mouth curled up into a smile. There was a sense of duty in his heart. He did not hesitate to crush the bespectacled doctor's throat. If Lin Yi died, Dafeng Bro would die as well. If Lin Yi didn't die and the glasses doctor and Lan Xiuru escaped, Dafeng Bro would still be in danger. So, Dafeng Bro made up his mind to get rid of one by one. If Chen Dongcheng was not here, Brother Da Feng might have considered taking the bespectacled doctor as a hostage. However, with Chen Dongcheng, a supermaster in the early stage of profound ascension, he did not dare to take this risk. The difference in their levels was too great. Chen Dongcheng's aura alone was enough to make him completely immobile. It was better to directly kill the bespectacled doctor and break one of his arms. After killing the bespectacled doctor, Brother Da Feng closed his eyes and waited for death, ready for Chen Dongcheng's revenge. Chen Dongcheng did indeed rush over, but he did not pay attention to Brother Da Feng at all. Instead, he avoided him and directly attacked Lan Xiuru. The powerful qi was like a substance, easily penetrating Lan Xiuru's heart. Since Chen Dongcheng had already made his move, he did not have the slightest intention of holding back. After shattering Lan Xiuru's heart, he waved his hand to the side. The qi broke out of Lan Xiuru's body and cut half of Lan Xiuru's body. Only a small part of her chest was still connected to her left shoulder. Lan Xiuru fell to the ground like a broken sack. Brother Da Feng felt that something was wrong. He opened his eyes in surprise and did not understand why this happened. Ha 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 ha, I didn't expect it. You're the one who killed me. Lan Xiuru, who had fallen to the ground, suddenly laughed strangely and spoke clearly. Chen Dongcheng and Brother Da Feng were both shocked. A normal person would have died a long time ago after suffering such a serious injury. Even a powerful cultivator would not be able to continue living, but this Lan Xiuru could still speak? Are you surprised? To tell you the truth, it's impossible for you to kill me because I'm immortal. As Lan Xiuru spoke, she propped up the broken body with both hands and tore off the part that had not been broken. As powerful as Chen Dongcheng was, He could not help but be shocked by this terrifying scene. He did not know how to react for a while. No matter who it was, seeing a person with only a head, half of his chest, and 2 arms casually tearing his body apart on the ground, and then talking with a strange smile, they would have a creepy feeling. Chen Dongcheng was no exception. On the contrary, Brother Da Feng had been in the center for a long time. He had also been in the cyborg base, so his psychological endurance was stronger. He immediately pulled out a dagger and said fiercely, "Immortal? I can't kill you. Then I'll chop you up and feed you to the dogs. Let's see if you'll die or not." Seeing that Brother Da Feng was about to rush over, Lan Xiaoru did not panic at all. Instead, she glanced at Brother Da Feng disdainfully and said, "Is this all you're capable of? Do you only know how to deal with me in this state?" Brother Da Feng was stunned. Although he did not feel embarrassed after hearing what Lan Xiaoru said, he remembered that Lan Xiaoru in this state might be more useful to Lin Yi. Therefore, Brother Da Feng simply put away the dagger and said, "Forget it, I'll keep you for a while. I'll deal with you later. Ha 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 ha, Dafeng, I knew you were a traitor a long time ago, and I wanted to keep you alive for a while to deal with you later, just to numb Lin Yi's senses. I didn't think you'd be so smart, seizing the perfect opportunity to betray me. Now I'll let you keep me alive for a while. Not bad, not bad. We're even now. The next time you fall into my hands, you can just wait for death," Lan Xiaoru said with a laugh. She was not afraid at all. Chapter 57:30. Chimpy. What key training target? Is it a guinea pig for key experiments? Chen Dongcheng interrupted Lan Xiaoru's words and sneered, "If the center really values me, they would have removed the poison in my body by now. Is this why you betrayed us? If you mend your ways now and kill Dafeng, I can let bygones be bygones. I can also promise to remove the poison in your body for you. What do you think?" Lan Xiaoru said faintly. However, the conditions she stated made Big Brother Dafeng extremely shocked. If Chen Dongcheng agreed to it, then he would be finished. Fortunately, Chen Dongcheng did not waver at all. He still sneered, "I don't think I'm a fool. Rather than believing a woman like you, I might as well believe in my own judgment. Since I made a move against you, there is absolutely no possibility of turning back." Lan Xiaoru didn't seem surprised at all. She even nodded slightly and said, "Sure enough, since that's the case, you, Chen Dongcheng, have become a target that our center must kill. I hope you can be mentally prepared. Offending the people from the center won't end well. Is that so? Lin Yi's fate is really miserable," Chen Dongcheng said disdainfully to Lan Xiaoru with a face full of ridicule. Looking at Lin Yi's lively appearance, Lan Xiaoru's words about offending the center would not end well was simply a joke. Big Brother Dafeng suddenly laughed. Lin Yi and the center were old rivals. From the secular world to the heavenly island, then to the ancient underworld, and back to the secular world. It seemed that Lin Yi had never suffered any losses in the confrontation between the two sides. Lan Xiaoru snorted and said, "You are right. Lin Yi's fate will be miserable in the end, and you two traitors will be 100 times more miserable than him. Mr. Lin Yi's fate would be miserable." At this time, he condensed another super alchemy firebomb and threw it at the sacred zone. The thunder burial just now did not damage much of the surface armor. At most, it left some small potholes and thick black scorch marks. However, it did not matter. The main purpose of the thunder burial was to destroy the circuits and instruments of the entire base. Now, only a thick tortoise shell was left in the central sanctuary. There was no energy to support the defense anymore. That was why Lin Yi didn't even use his strongest super alchemic firebomb this time. He only used an ordinary one, which was able to easily blast open the surface armor. Seeing the seawater instantly filling up the hole, Lin Yi suddenly realized that he could not destroy it like this. After all, Cheng Yi was still inside. Fortunately, this big hole was only a lift cabin. There were water insulation measures below, so it was not a big problem. Lin Yi entered, transformed into his essence soul state, and directly penetrated the alloy wall below. Without the first layer of defense and super flames, Lin Yi had no problem doing this. With a sweep of divine sense, Cheng Yi's position clearly appeared in Lin Yi's sea of consciousness. It seemed that she had not suffered any injuries. This made Lin Yi greatly relieved. It was good that she was not injured. On the other side, Brother Da Feng and Chen Dongcheng stood together. The bespectacled doctor on the ground was already dead, and Lan Xiuru's injuries were also very strange, which made Lin Yi a little curious. What's going on? Chen Dongcheng also betrayed us? Lin Yi suddenly felt a little strange, but he had guessed the truth. He wanted to go and take a look now, but his primary goal was to rescue Cheng Yi. Anyway, Brother Da Feng did not seem to be in danger. After a few flashes, Lin Yi appeared outside the room where Cheng Yi was imprisoned. He casually broke the lock outside, opened the door, and smiled. Your concert is not over yet. If you don't go back, your fans will ask you for a refund. Before she finished speaking, Cheng Yi directly threw herself into Lin Yi's arms and hugged Lin Yi tightly. She smiled happily. Brother Lin, I knew you would come to save me. Sure enough, I didn't guess wrong. You really came. Feeling the exquisite and delicate body in his arms, Lin Yi smiled awkwardly. I came a little late, and I made you suffer. You're not late. Brother Lin, you came very quickly. Cheng Yi hooked her arms around Lin Yi's neck, raised her head, and said with a smile. That charming look really made Lin Yi a little moved. When Cheng Yi tried to seduce Lin Yi, he didn't care at all. But now, seeing Cheng Yi's true feelings, coupled with the confession that he didn't complete before, Lin Yi was really moved. Okay, let's leave here first and go see the leaders in the center. Lin Yi smiled slightly. Now was not the time to talk about love. He patted Cheng Yi's back lightly and led her to Brother Da Feng and the others. But before they got there, Lin Yi's consciousness discovered that Xue Jianfeng and Zhaolong had sneakily boarded the UFO and were in a state of activation. Xue Jianfeng was originally unconscious, but Lin Yi's lightning burial sent a large amount of electricity into the circuit and woke him up. Because of the new potion, although Xue Jianfeng was slightly injured, he recovered immediately. After Xue Jianfeng woke up and realized the current situation, he did not think about such a boring thing as saving Lan Xiuru, nor did he want to avenge the glasses doctor. Instead, he sneaked to the place where the UFO was parked, ready to escape from here. Although this guy had been genetically modified, he was still afraid of Lin Yi and didn't dare to fight Lin Yi at all. He was afraid that he would be killed by Lin Yi if he couldn't win. Of the 36 stratagems, escape was the best. He met Zhaolong, who had the same idea, and decided to bring him along. By the time Lin Yi noticed it, the ship had already activated its emergency escape system, ready to eject at a moment's notice. Even if Lin Yi wanted to stop them, he wouldn't be able to make it in time. He could only let the two cockroaches continue running. Lin Yi, I'll come back for you. Now that I have an undying body, I'll be able to kill you when I get stronger, you bastard. Just you wait. Xue Jianfeng only dared to show off with his mouth, but his hands betrayed his cowardice. He quickly pressed the preset cruise route, and the UFO flew directly to the second base. Lin Yi shook his head as he felt the UFO leave. He didn't care about Xue Jianfeng and Zhaolong anymore. They were just two small fries. It was no big deal if they ran away. Chapter 5731. Genius 1 second. Remember, if you want to go. The internet provides you with wonderful novels to read. Big Brother Dafeng turned his head and bowed with joy. Boss Lin Yi, you are here. The two leaders of the center are here. Unfortunately, this woman cannot be killed. Lin Yi did not care about Lan Xiaoru. He nodded to Big Brother Dafeng and asked Chen Dongcheng, what do you mean by this? Martial uncle, this disciple wants to return to the sect. Chen Dongcheng bowed respectfully and treated Lin Yi with the etiquette of a junior. This Mr. Dafeng is also Martial uncle's man, right? He can prove that this disciple is sincere. Just now, this disciple also participated in the killing. Big Brother Dafeng quickly nodded and said, yes, Boss Lin Yi, I can prove that Chen Dongcheng really helped. When I killed the bespectacled doctor just now, I was prepared to be killed by Chen Dongcheng, but I didn't expect that not only did he not kill me, but he also attacked Lan Xiaoru. Otherwise, I would be dead now, and Lan Xiaoru would have run away. Lin Yi nodded and said with a slight smile, you did a good job. Let's talk about this later. I will talk to Lan Xiaoru first. Lan Xiaoru snorted and said, Lin Yi, I didn't expect you to really kill your way here. I underestimated you. You are really not simple, but it doesn't matter. The outcome between us has not been decided yet. Boss, this woman is a biohuman. Her current injuries are not enough to kill her. Big brother Dafeng whispered in Lin Yi's ear. Lin Yi shrugged indifferently and said, What biohuman? I will blow her up and burn her to ashes. I don't believe she won't die. Lan Xiaoru laughed and said, Lin Yi, you are wrong. When I say immortal, I don't mean this body. This biohuman body is just a clone of my main body. You can do whatever you want with it. Anyway, it will not hinder my main body. As long as there are cells and genes, I can clone and regenerate infinitely. Remember, the center is eternal. This is just a base. Our battle has just begun. Then, see you next time. Lin Yi's expression changed. He directly waved his hand and sent Lan Xiaoru flying with his qi. At the same time, he continued to increase the amount of qi and wrapped her in it. With a boom, Lan Xiaoru self-destructed. Even Lin Yi's pure qi was almost unable to restrain her self-destruction. Fortunately, it was a close shave, and no one was hurt. This woman is really decisive. She's been talking nonsense with you guys for so long just to wait for me to come over. Then, she wants to see if she can hurt me by self-detonating. It's a good thing that she wanted to wait for me to come over. Otherwise, the two of you would be in danger if you were caught off guard. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and shook his head. He was a little more afraid of this enemy. He was scheming, capable, and had the support of the center's resources. He was not easy to deal with. Lin Yi suddenly felt a headache when he thought of such a difficult opponent who could be reborn infinitely. This matter was really not fun. He thought that he could get rid of the center this time, but it turned out to be such a result. Although it was not without gain, he still did not get rid of the big trouble. It was always trouble. Looking at the body of the glasses doctor on the ground, Lin Yi thought to himself, this guy can't also be a clone, right? If that's the case, then there's no end to it. Boss, fortunately you came. Otherwise, this woman might have been impatient and self-destructed. Chen Dongcheng may be fine, but it's hard to say for me, Dafeng. Seeing Lan Xiaoru exploding into a cloud of blood mist, Dafeng said with lingering fear. Chen Dongcheng quickly said, this time, it's really thanks to Grandmaster. Otherwise, I would have been seriously injured if I was not prepared. With Chen Dongcheng's strength in the early stage of profound ascension, even if he was not prepared, he would at most be slightly injured. This was completely to please Lin Yi. Lin Yi nodded to Chen Dongcheng and said, since you are sincere, I will not reject you. As long as you can do things to satisfy me, I will never treat you badly. Chen Dongcheng was overjoyed and said, thank you, Martial Granduncle. I won't let you down. After that, Chen Dongcheng looked at Lin Yi with hope. The main reason why he joined Lin Yi was that Lin Yi could cure the poison in the center. Otherwise, he really did not dare to betray the center. Lin Yi was certainly aware of this, so he waved to him and said, give me your hand, I will show you the poison in your body. Chen Dongcheng was overjoyed. He did not expect Lin Yi to be so straightforward. He immediately ran over, bowed and stretched out his hand for Lin Yi to check. As for detoxifying this poison, Lin Yi was already very familiar with it, and it was done very quickly. Chen Dongcheng clearly felt his body relax, but he also knew who gave him his freedom, so he immediately cupped his fists and bowed, kneeling on one knee, Master, this disciple will definitely go through fire and water for you in the future. I won't hesitate to do anything for you. If there's anything you want, this disciple will definitely complete it with my life. Lin Yi casually waved his hand and said faintly, helping you remove the poison is to repay you for letting Dafeng go. Although you said that you want to join me, I still can't believe you. Now, I will give you two choices. First, you can leave immediately and we will have nothing to do with each other. In any case, the poison in your body is gone. As long as you don't provoke me in the future, with your strength, there is no need to worry about not having a foothold in the immemorial era or in the secular world. Chen Dongcheng was immediately moved. Being able to come and go freely seemed like a very good choice. If Lin Yi was not just testing him, then he could consider it. However, Lin Yi did not seem to be such a despicable person. In that case, what he said should be the truth. Lin Yi looked at the subtle changes on Chen Dongqing's face, and the corner of his mouth curved into a faint smile. He continued, "The second option is for you to follow me, but you have to take the poison I'll give you. Before you prove your loyalty, I won't give you the antidote. After all, you and I used to be enemies, and I won't let an enemy follow me easily. Do you understand what I mean?" Chen Dongqing was slightly startled. Of course, he understood what Lin Yi meant. Moreover, he felt that Lin Yi's method was not wrong. If it was him, he would do the same. The problem was that he had just removed the poison from his heart. Did he still have to accept Lin Yi's poison? What was the difference between that and the heart?